Hey guys, it's another episode of America's Hometown Horror. Yeah! Good evening. And we actually do, for once, have a jam-packed episode tonight. So why don't we jump right in and let me get a couple housekeeping things out of the way.
You say that every week.
I know. It's
Let's
Andrew,
jump right in there.
Andrew, it's a running joke. I mean, oh my god.
I didn't know.
Like, do you have to step on everything? Oh my goodness. Hey guys, here's where you can find us on social media if you're interested in these sort of things. First place is our website, which is ahpod.com. That's AHHPOD.com, ahpod.com, for everything about our show, including our blog, which, we're supposed to be updating from time to time, but we haven't yet.
Was that a you thing?
All of us. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, whatever else on social media. Just search for America's Hometown Horror. You'll find us pretty much anywhere but TikTok. And you can also, if you feel so inclined, drop us a line at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com if you have some feedback or something you want to contribute to the show. And, of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention our two sponsors, the first of which is Horror Facts Magazine. You can find them at horrorfacts.com. A great resource for horror fans. Honestly, a great resource, and we're thankful for them sponsoring us and putting our show on their website. But you can find news, reviews, editorials, and other horror podcasts besides ours at horrorfacts.com. And last but certainly not least, we are now an affiliate of Fangoria. Fangoria Magazine, the first name in fright since 1979. You head on over to shop.fangoria.com/hometownhorrorpod. Or if you're at that shop, just use the code HometownHorrorPod at checkout and get an exclusive 20% discount for all of our listeners on any merchandise or first-time magazine subscription. America's Hometown Horror and Otis, the Spooky Hound Dog, thank you for your patronage. And guys, I say to my co-hosts, Andrew, Kat, and Matt, good evening, lady, gentlemen. How are ya?
Hello.
Good
Hello.
evening.
What's going on?
Chilling.
Betting
How we
like
doing?
crazy on my phone.
Yeah, we're just betting.
Random
Betting a bunch.
things. Yeah.
Betting is
We have
now
legal betting.
betting is now legal in Massachusetts. So
I'm gonna bet the ball.
Andrew and Kat have just been on their phones.
No, I have not. I've at least
When
one.
we were
would-
getting food.
I would-
I'm not saying right now. I'm saying just in general in the last
In
week.
general, they have been on their phone.
No,
longer
I'm
than
just
I have.
in general. I put $10 in, and I'm just making it worth it. I'm
I'm
spreading
putting
the wealth.
30-cent bets on 8,000 game parlays.
Yeah, I took an 8-leg parlay for all
To
the
win $1
underdogs
billion.
to win.
See, these types of days are the days that I wish I cared more about March Madness. I know nothing about college basketball. I don't pay
neither.
You don't
attention.
have to know
Okay.
anything.
I
None
know.
of us know anything about.
No,
I mean,
we're
I
just
feel like
put in
making
a dollar
crazy
bet.
bets.
I feel like if you're an informed viewer
Oh,
and
well,
you
of
bet
course.
on the teams that you think are actually going to win or the
Right.
teams that are underdogs,
you
you're
have just
actually
as much
obviously
of a
gonna-
chance to win as the
That's-
Yeah, I know,
idiots
it's
like
true.
us.
It's
Yes,
true. It's true.
that's also true.
It is certainly true. All right, guys. We truly do. I have a lot of things that I want to talk to you guys about before we actually get into tonight's movie. So why don't we just
talking
hey,
then.
dive in, and guys. One piece of news that I'll mention before we jump into movies and things that we're going to talk about, because we have a couple things there too. As of today, Evil Dead Rise premiered at South by Southwest Festival in Austin, Texas, and the early reviews are very positive, which I think is a very, very, very good sign.
I like it.
Obviously there's no spoilers out there in terms of the reviews, which, it's not out it's actually out next month. We're actually about 3 weeks away from Evil Dead Rise being released in theaters. So I'm excited for that. That's one movie that I'm definitely going to hire a babysitter for, so we can go see that movie. That's going to be my new gauge of excitement for a movie.
Whether or not
As an old man dad person, I'm hiring a babysitter so I can go see Evil Dead Rise. But I think it's good that the reactions are very positive. I guess there was a panel at South by Southwest with Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and the director of the movie, Lee Cronin, I think is his name. And heard that there was some sort of heckler in the crowd that Bruce Campbell told to shut the fuck up, and he got thrown out.
Get the fuck out.
Or something like that. And the movie showed, and people really liked it. So Evil Dead Rise coming your way very, very soon.
If I was ever in a position that Bruce Campbell told me to get the fuck out, I'd fucking kill myself.
I would
That would
say-
suck.
Let me ask you this.
Like, you gotta be a real fucking dickhead.
Would you
Like, what are
rather
you
have
saying? Like, what are you
no lifetime interactions with Bruce Campbell, or would you rather be an asshole and have Bruce Campbell tell you to shut the fuck up?
I'd
I mean,
rather
that's-
have no lifetime
That's a
interactions.
story
I
to
think I'm
tell,
with you
though,
there.
for the rest of your
Yeah.
life, though.
I don't want him to hate
You know
me.
who threw me out? Bruce
Campbell
Then people
told
be
me to shut the fuck up.
Why Why did Bruce Campbell do that?
Ash
Oh,
Williams.
I was being a prick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was being an asshole.
Yeah,
Well,
that's also
that's
you do
not
have
cool.
after you lead with that statement, you have
Yeah,
to
you
follow
have
up with like, okay, well, how did that happen?
Yeah,
well, I
I
was
was-
being a total drunk
I was
loser,
screaming
asshole.
things at
Yeah.
people.
It's one thing if you're like at a bar and Bruce Campbell, I don't know if he drinks or not, but if he's like hammered and just punches you in the face for no fucking reason, that's a funny story.
I picture
But-
Bruce Campbell drinks bourbon.
So Bruce
Maybe,
Campbell's
yeah.
my
Bruce
guess.
Campbell's biography, I don't know if it was an autobiography, was named "If Chins Could Kill," which I think is the most awesome name for a book ever because he does have like an awesome chin, awesome jawline. Like he's the fucking man. I
very-
love Bruce
yeah,
Campbell.
That guy fucking
God.
rocks.
So in terms of what's coming up soon in releases, obviously we just mentioned Evil Dead Rise, which is coming next month. But in terms of what you can view right now, a couple things. As of this episode dropping, because it will be out tomorrow, which, if you're listening, is today.
Yes.
Friday, St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. You can watch the Boston Strangler series on Hulu, which I, for one, am very interested in checking out. I believe it has Carrie Coon. It has Keira Knightley.
Who was banned from doing a
Chris
Boston
Cooper.
accent in that movie?
Banned.
Like, why was it that bad? Is that the reason?
No, wait, what are you talking about?
Oh no, it's a thing. Keira Knightley was not allowed to do a Boston accent in this movie, and I don't know
Really?
what the reasoning was. Maybe it was. My
All right,
guess
so
is,
I didn't hear any of
My
it.
guess
I-
is
I
that
don't
it
know
was
anything
so
about that.
bad, and they were like, "Stop."
Like, hold on, wait a minute, Jesus Christ.
Well,
They were like,
it's
it was
funny
basically as if it was what's his name? Who's the big? What's his fucking name? He's in like all. He's like big, muscly British actor. He's in. Fuck!
Something?
Like, oh my god, why can't I think of his name?
big, muscly British actor. What can you name me a movie or two?
White House Down or whatever the fucking name of that
Okay,
was.
never seen it. No,
Law-abiding citizen.
no. It's just
Rock and roller?
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler. Yes.
He's Scottish, first of all.
and he has the
Gerard.
worst. And he has the worst American accent.
Dude, all
so
he
bad.
is
It's
a jacked body that does
Yeah.
stupid action
yeah.
movies. He
But
just
so like,
offers
so
no
they were
value.
probably like, you can't be like the Gerard Butler of the Boston accents. Although they let like people that live in Boston do Boston accents, and they're so bad.
Can't
Oh,
believe
they're
you
like
didn't-
Mark
I can't
Wahlberg.
believe you didn't.
So
say
I was actually going to
300.
say I'm looking.
My brain was like, I couldn't. As soon as I said,
I'm looking forward to watching this Boston Strangler series.
I am too.
Series solely so I can see how bad they fuck up the Boston accent. Because every single movie or TV show that is filmed
Oh,
or
yes.
takes place in Boston, they fuck it up every single time.
Which is stupid.
it doesn't matter if it's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. You live,
Dude,
in
they
Boston,
honestly
and
they
have
are
the worst accent.
they are
They're the
two
worst.
two of the worst
They're
offenders.
the worst. The
I actually
Departed
thought
had the worst accents I've ever heard
actually
in my life.
aside from I thought, and he's not even from here. I thought DiCaprio's was pretty good, pretty good. And actually, I did not think Alec Baldwin was that bad. But you know who was the worst?
Martin Sheen.
No, he was bad.
was
Dude,
bad.
and he's also from here.
Jack. Jackie Boy.
Wahlberg,
Wahlberg
is
was
the
the
worst
worst. Yeah.
offender of all, and I hate him anyway.
what I'm
So, dude, but like he just
Mark
dude,
Wahlberg
he
committed a hate
hams
crime.
it. Yeah,
He did.
Mark Wahlberg is.
Yeah, he did.
Mark
Listen-
Wahlberg is
No,
a
in the
hate crime.
80s.
listeners,
Yeah.
do yourselves a favor. Want to be a little down on Mark Wahlberg like we are? Go ahead and Google his Wikipedia page, and go ahead and look down to his personal life and read about the time that he beat the shit out of a Vietnamese man. Beat him. Wahlberg, I feel like, has gotten such a pass.
Let's cancel.
He sucks.
Let's
I hate
cancel
Mark
comedians
Wahlberg.
for making jokes, but not fucking
Listen,
Mark
I am
Wahlberg. for
I am
doing
not
hate
pro.
crimes.
I am not pro cancel culture. I hate.
No,
No,
there's
I'm
a
just
difference.
saying.
I'm pro.
He's an
Wahlberg's
asshole.
That.
Yeah,
Mark
Mark
Wahlberg.
Wahlberg.
Yeah.
I don't care. He could probably beat me up, and he's like Conor McGregor. He's just gonna come here and
He is
punch me in the face.
a little
He's
dude.
just
Dude,
he's
the-
got a Napoleon syndrome. He's like Tom Cruise too, but
Andrew.
Tom Cruise is.
If I may, the man was being recorded on video,
Oh,
and
I'm
he
aware.
said that if he were on the plane that crashed on 9/11, shit would have went down differently.
That
Because
is
I
the-
believe the direct quote.
Yeah, that is the most douche-ridden comment I've ever heard. Because you know what he would have
He's
done?
a
He would have
loser.
cried in the back seat.
Loser.
He'd be like, oh, someone help me! I did the
He
fucking
sucks.
man."
Him,
I fucking hate Mark.
his
Wahlberg.
brothers,
The worst.
his burger restaurant, his mom's restaurant, and everything that him and his family are associated with can fuck right the fuck off. I hate
I don't know.
To quote a movie,
I don't
to
know
quote
if
a
I
Night
movie,
agree
before
with
St.
all of
Patrick's
that.
Day.
Yeah.
fuck him.
to quote a movie, which
Well,
Not even Irish.
So I'm-
fuck you.
I'm quoting,
Loser.
I'm quoting a movie, and I do not mean this to be offensive anyway.
Here we go.
But being Mark
But-
Wahlberg is like being the smartest Wahlburgers or Wahlburger with Down syndrome. Because remember that joke?
With Down
No,
syndrome?
it's a joke
Ted?
in Ted. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like being the smartest kid with Down syndrome. Like
Yes.
That's a bad joke. And you should never say
That's
that.
actually one of the only movies that I like him in is Ted.
I don't. Actually, you know what movie I like him in? It's not Cop Out. It's the other. It's the one
It's
where
all these other really good movies.
So it's Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. They're both cops.
Oh yeah,
the
other guys.
The other guys.
The other guys. That movie stinks. I hate that movie.
I love
too.
that movie.
All right, sorry.
I'm
Okay,
spitting
listen, guys.
Yeah,
We're talking about.
There's a lot of topics, like actual topics, to talk about tonight. So I'm gonna do my best to
Actual
interject,
topics.
as opposed to our St. Patrick's Day special.
So why don't you just go like
And
bing, bing, bing,
yep.
bing, bing,
So
and then you
okay,
just,
maybe I
get
will.
off the rails.
So
you
again,
know?
that's the Boston Strangler series, which if you're listening to this is available right now on Hulu. Go watch it. It looks kind of cool.
Let's go watch it.
Guys, if we could keep it to 10 minutes or so, maybe
Stop asking such
15.
thought-provoking questions, Michael.
Okay, Andrew.
That was a compliment.
Guys, let me ask you this. It's been Andrew, you're fine. I'm just in the middle of a thought.
So sensitive.
Oh,
my
it's so easy to get him off his thoughts. Like I was reading this.
Guys,
live.
it's been a few weeks since we've talked about The Last of Us, and the season is now over. OVA over, baby. And
Don't ever say that
like
again.
Boston accent
turns
style over.
turns out that
ever say
the series,
OVA
no
over
shit,
again.
was a huge hit for HBO. Probably the biggest hit since Game of Thrones, I would think, in terms of popularity. I think there were almost 9 million people in the United States that watched the finale. So, I'm not looking for an entire breakdown of the season. Thoughts overall, and the end of it, how you thought it ended, where you think it could go in season 2, even though there's already some stuff out there. If you are so willing to find out, you can find out kind of where the direction it's going to go. But I thought the season personally ended incredible. Andrew and I were talking about this before we started recording tonight, and I think the last 2 episodes of the season were probably 2 of the stronger, if not the strongest episodes of the season. It's just a show. It honestly, there's a reason that it has taken the pop culture landscape by storm, and the show's fucking awesome. The characters are awesome. Pedro Pascal is awesome as Joel, and Bella Ramsey is unbelievable as Ellie. And the two of them, their chemistry is fantastic. This is probably my most anticipated second season of a show coming out in the next couple of years. Aside from maybe like Yellow Jackets or Stranger Things. That's where I would place this show in my pantheon
well
of
above
like...
Stranger Things at this point.
Dude,
Stranger Things 5,
dude,
4, 5.
you-
What year are we? No, it's been
Hold on.
plenty of fucking years.
Hold on.
Way too much fucking
Hold
Stranger
on.
Things.
Andrew,
Yeah, I'm more excited
Andrew.
for season 2 of Last of Us than
right,
Stranger Things
wait a
season
second.
15.
Andrew,
Like-
you were so excited. After we finished season 4 of Stranger Things with Vecna, you were so excited
yeah.
for the end. And the end of Stranger Things is going to be great. And
I was so excited
I
for
still
the end.
tell Matt
Just
that he
the
needs
end.
to watch
Just
it.
the end.
I know.
I got rid of Netflix.
The
But okay, again, all right. Hey,
really?
listen, guys, wait, hold on. All right, so those are my thoughts on The Last of Us. Guys, thoughts on season 1, especially towards the end. Who would like to go next? I'll leave it up to you guys. Catherine, go.
Strong like plow.
Okay, Borat. Thank you.
Well, at least someone got... I didn't know what you were talking about. I was like, that's a weird thing to say.
Strong on
But then again, I
plow.
say a lot of weird things, so I'm like, cool.
Her vagine hang like sleeve of wizard.
You can be as weird as you like, because it makes me look less...
Hang like sleeve of lizard.
Dude, you guys
Say
are being
something
so
else
weird.
really weird.
Why are you being so
We're
weird?
talking
I was
about
like
being
this,
weird.
And I was like strong like plow.
I know.
Strong like
It's
plow.
strong on plow. That's because Borat's wife is strong dragging the plow behind her. That's what he's saying.
Are you sure it's not long done, too?
Not strong like plow.
It's a hockey term, sorry. What are you even talking about?
All right,
Wait,
Kat.
Continue.
Last of Us?
Move on.
The last episode was amazing.
The last episode of Last of
Awesome.
Us was...
Amazing. And the season in itself was awesome. I thought it was great. I thought that it was going to be a lot more like The Walking Dead, where it would be more like there was a decent amount of characters, but I feel like The Walking Dead had its own little group in the first season. Like this one has different people you meet along the way, and then they're just well, I don't want to spoil a bunch of stuff, so it's not the same thing. So
Yeah, I would say go spoiler free for right now. Yeah.
I'll go spoiler free. It's nice that you do fall in love with some of the characters like you do in The Walking Dead. For sure.
I think I care more about Joel and Ellie than I ever did about
That's what I
anybody
mean.
in The Walking
That's what
Dead.
I mean.
Yeah, I think it's.
But
I'm
no,
agreeing with
not
you. I'm saying.
necessarily.
So you're right. So you're
I
right.
would-
Though there's 2 characters you care about. No, he's right. 2 characters
You
you care about.
cared
I don't give a
about-
fuck about all the other characters with their lame stories. The last 2 episodes of the show fucking slapped. This is what that show should be. Back in, baby. I hated the show. Not because of reasons people want to say it. I just thought that these last 2 episodes were so good. No, you said something to me.
So
The last 2 episodes were really,
in,
really
in,
good.
in,
the best 2
in
episodes of the
fairness,
season.
in
Yes.
fairness,
Well, the
that's-
first couple episodes were
we're talking about
first 2
nine.
and last 2, we'll say.
We're talking about 9 hours of TV. And I think, I do agree with you that like the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes, I think were the strongest
Yeah.
in terms of action and monsters and everything else like that. But they're also like I think
The nice little filler.
the critics
episodes
the
were nice
critics
little-
fell in love with like the character driven episodes that
I'm
were standard
100%
one-offs. So
fine
like,
with that. But wouldn't it have been better if you could have done what they did in the last 2 episodes and the first 2 episodes and just did that for 9 episodes? I would have fucking just been off on my couch, yerking it. Like, what's up? Like that show.
We have
slap. Like no, that show. The first 2 episodes. This.
we are headed down the
No.
same path as
So
last week.
here's my. Also, I had a problem because you said something earlier where you mentioned Game of Thrones and then The Last of Us. You forgot The Outsider, which is a highly underrated show.
Outsider was nowhere near as popular.
I don't
as,
give a
was
fuck
good,
what's
though.
Listen,
popular.
that's what I was saying was that
Show's
in terms
better.
of
White Lotus
popularity.
was also super
I think this
popular.
show's
The
way
outside,
better.
the Outsider was a fantastic show, but I
Is
think
Succession on?
yes,
Yeah,
the
that's
the
another
most
really
the
good
most
one.
popular shows that HBO has right now are Succession, Last of Us, and White Lotus. You're absolutely right. Popularity, Andrew, not in terms of
Give
what's
a fuck.
good.
Well, what are we talking about? What's good or what's popular? I want to know what's
Both.
good.
We're talking about
Am I a
both.
tree?
Because The Last of Us
Popular.
exists on both of those planes, and I think that that's what's interesting. It's been a long time since something horror related
Venn diagram.
has been like this popular, right?
Popular horror thing.
It's not popular because
Matt, do you understand
it's
what I'm
not,
saying?
It's not,
Mainstream
it's not
horror
popular because it's
things.
horror related though.
No,
Final
no,
thought.
no,
That's all
no,
I'm saying.
No,
He's
it's-
saying that horror is becoming mainstream in a sense.
No.
which it wasn't really before because it's popular now. So it's more in
Horror's
front
been
of other
mainstream for a while. What I'm trying to say is that it's been a while since this level of horror has been like this much at the forefront
Yeah, like
of
my,
the popular
like
culture.
my parents watched.
There are
that shit.
casual people watching The Last of Us.
Which makes me
Yeah.
question if this is actually horror.
There's elements of it that
It
are.
sure
There's
is.
plenty of
I think-
elements.
I think
no,
it
but there's
sure
plenty
is.
of room to say that it's not.
Some of it.
It has
yeah.
elements. Like there's movies we talk about all the time. You go, this is horror adjacent.
Before
This
we-
show
before
is
we go
horror
there.
adjacent.
I disagree.
Yes.
I disagree.
Some,
But-
I think it depends what
It's
episode you're
close,
watching.
right?
It
Matt,
does
Yeah,
depend on
exactly.
which
But
episode
it's
you're
not
watching.
as a whole. If you take it as a whole and you accept whatever it is, it's a whole. As a whole, you take the show as a whole and you watch the whole thing. Is it mostly horror or not mostly horror?
I think it
It's
depends
half
on
and
the
half.
context that you're looking at it. Because if you're looking at it episode to episode and you're only taking it for what you're being shown, you can have that idea. But if you're like, okay, this is the end of the world where some horrific fucking fungal infection has
It's a thriller.
destroyed humanity, that's horrific.
Yeah.
So that's why I think there's a lingering like bleakness that is constantly there. You know what I mean?
But you know what this makes? You know what makes this not horror for me is the fact that you can just be hanging out in a nice house, cooking up a delicious steak, drinking it with a nice bottle of wine.
Sure.
No, that's not horror. Like that sounds
What do you
awesome.
mean
I'll
that's
take
not
that one.
horror?
No, because in your daily life,
What did Hannibal
most
Lecter
days
do?
are worse than others.
What
So
did-
you have like 1 or 2 good days a week. So if your one good day a week during
Well,
the zombie apocalypse is
hold
eating
on
a
a
nice,
second.
delicious steak and drinking
You're doing
some
all right.
wine,
okay, understood.
that's
But
not horrifying.
What if at any moment your nice steak dinner with a bottle of red wine could be interrupted by a fungus monster running through your front door?
Here's my question, though. At any moment during that entire episode, did you ever think that that was even possible?
No.
That would never have fit in with the
And
episode.
that's why-
so that's why
But
you were
it's
never
because
putting
that
that.
was- they were
No,
all
that's
protected.
no, it's that's a
Security.
positive.
It's a
No,
false sense
it's
of
a positive.
security.
They did have issues when he had to shoot through the gate and he
Right.
fire blast, but you never really
Andrew.
thought that those characters were in harm, unless it was just being
but
alive.
you knew that something had to happen.
It was a beautiful episode.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Because you read the plot of the first game, so you knew how it was going to end the entire time. You
Mike,
told me yourself.
Also, just because I read something doesn't mean I retained it.
Oh.
My brain.
My brain does not retain.
Are you listening to this?
I
If I looked at the
Are
words,
you
doesn't
listening?
mean I
Just
read
because
them.
I said I read something doesn't mean I even remember what the fuck I just
I just
read.
looked words.
Cat can attest
Oh
to that.
yes. I look and I go,
I watched a movie the other night. I was just staring at lights on a screen like a cat. And fucking, and I was like, fucking no idea what's going on.
I was doing like 5 other things. So
we all have been there, so I can't make fun of you, cat, because, just because I read something doesn't mean I know what the fuck I'm saying.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. All right.
I want to say a couple things before.
Yeah, go ahead.
move
Go
on.
ahead. Talk about Last of Us.
I liked the series. I agree. There's definitely some fucking lulls that are really, really low. I agree the last 2 episodes are the best. I also think that the story in the middle episodes, what are their names? Henry and
Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts of the whole show.
That was a great episode. I thought the interaction between the two of them and Joel and Ellie was awesome.
They're sad and bleak, but
Yeah.
I think I like sad and bleak. So
Sure.
I think that those 2 episodes were arguably one of the most important parts of the entire show. Because that was like the middle point that kind of kept you around these little like
lulls.
slower
Like side
episodes.
stories or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Which is like, and I didn't like. I liked the episode with Nick Offerman and that whole thing. I thought that was
good. That was
fantastic.
very good.
I'm not gonna, I thought that was beautiful.
It was so
yes.
different, but like I get what like people can be like. Well, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Which I understand that, but at the same time, I just try to take the fucking story for what it is as it's being told. But that's just me. Not everyone does that, which is fine. But
I mean,
Actually,
you also, I
you're
feel like
not wrong.
those types of episodes, like the one with Nick Offerman, like you don't want to say that you don't like that episode because you don't want to give ammo to like the trolls that say,
Sure.
"Oh, I don't want a
But
gay love
it
story
is
on my
also
TV
a
show."
beautiful love story. And also,
it is. It was
It's
sad.
great.
It made me
And-
cry. I was like, damn, dude.
Counterpoint. I think they have like a prototype that they have. They have 3 action aggressive episodes, 3 love story episodes, and 3 plot driven episodes that push the plot further. And you give that, and you rotate it, and then it's everyone's in line. The people that like the plot, the people that like the love stories, the people that love the
Yeah,
fucking
I thought
whatever.
like when you look at it as a whole, 1 and 2 start off really strong. You get kind of like you get a really good start, and then you get a really good cold open in the second episode that brings you into a bunch of stuff going on, and then you have the love story in 3. You bring in Henry and Sam, which is incredibly fucking devastating story with them.
Yeah.
And then you kind of hit a little lull for a minute. You kind of like, it's just kind of like Joel and Ellie traveling. And, you're like, okay, like what's going on? Where are they going from here? And then you have Ellie's flashback. And then you have everything really come into play in 8 and 9, where everything gets fucking serious.
Yeah.
That was also a cold open though too.
What?
The Ellie flashback, that was a cold.
Yeah.
Because it was the
So-
beginning, and they did. And who did they find to play her mother? Because looked exactly like
So,
her.
wait,
Weird.
hold,
Wait,
please.
so are we talking in depth about
Yes, we are right now.
Okay. I was
Okay, want to feel old?
I am.
Remember Growing Pains?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone remember Growing Pains?
Remember Growing Pains?
Show me that smile. Oh,
Look, yeah, show me that smile. Don't waste another minute on your crying. You know that we
The best is yet to begin. As long as we love each other.
I was busy watching
We let the world spin in
Okay.
front of
She's
us.
also the voice of Ellie in the game.
Yes. So
Yes.
what I was trying to say was,
happens to look like
her name is Ashley. Her name is Ashley Johnson, and she played Ellie's mother in the game. But she's also the youngest sister in Growing Pains.
Did you
Which,
watch
when you
Growing
watch
Pains?
Growing Pains and you see her, and then you see her here, you're like, oh my god,
Right?
I'm an old piece of shit.
I know. It's
That's what
so
happened to
crazy.
me. That's what happened to me.
I will say, if Bella
But
Ramsey...
she's dude. Honestly, I have
You
to.
never watched Growing
I
Pains?
have to say,
I've seen it with Alan Thicke, right?
Yes.
of course, Alan Thicke. Yeah,
And Kirk Cameron? No.
Kirk Cameron before he went crazy religious.
And
Yeah,
that weird
Tim
blonde
Kirk
lady
Cameron,
that was
right?
in like Tony. What's fucking Tony Danza? What was shows? What
This-
was the
I
thing?
don't know what you're talking
No, I know that show.
what I
Kirk
was gonna
Cameron.
say was
that weird kid.
That
the
weird kid.
I was actually not prepared.
That little girl.
Yeah,
It's
that's her. Yeah,
And it looks just like her.
It
still.
is.
It's
That's so weird. Actually, that's
Yes.
actually.
I know you can't see any
Stop.
visuals on a
What?
podcast, but we're looking at a
That is
picture
Bella
of
Ramsey.
the.
It's
of-
crazy.
no, it's not Bella Ramsey. It's the girl
No,
that
but
played.
I know it's
No.
not Bella Ramsey, but it looks like her.
No, it's It's what's her face.
All right, listen, hold
From The
on.
Last of Us, Ellie's mom.
Ellie's mom.
It
Ellie's
looks
mom.
like Bella Ramsey.
They
Yes.
look alike.
They look exactly alike.
Okay.
It's not even-
Yeah, they
It's
kinda
so
do.
weird.
Yes.
They looked.
Yes.
You didn't
Yeah.
think that in the show?
They look alike. Yes, they look alike.
Well,
I
that's
agree.
probably why she was
I agree.
great,
I agree. Can we move on?
cast.
Don't
Okay.
say
Mom,
maybe.
because-
The
It's not an option. Maybe
I'd love to
something.
see Bella Ramsey win an Emmy.
Yeah, it'll never
She
happen.
is the.
You don't think so?
No way.
Why?
She's the backbone
Because
of
the
the
fucking
show.
Academy has a stick up their fucking ass. There's no way.
I don't know, dude. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. What I was going to say as we keep going here, and I think we're at about our limit for The Last of Us.
I could talk. For
I
days
was
on
actually
this.
not prepared for how emotional that first scene with the Ellie stuff was going to make me in the finale. I was like, as a new dad, I was like, holy shit. Like, she's getting attacked by a fucking, by an infected person. Baby comes out, she's holding her, she knows she's got bit. I was just like, oh my god.
a lot.
I was
It's a
like,
lot.
oh
That was a
god.
lot,
Oh
yeah.
god, what is this salty
had the baby on the
discharge?
floor, and she's just like, "Oh,
What?
hi, baby," and you're just like, "Oh my god, she just had a
Yeah.
baby!" Like, and then you're seeing the
Yeah,
baby cry,
yeah.
like, how's she gonna
Awful.
feed her? She's like, "I didn't want to feed her because I'm infected,"
And she was
like,
clearly.
And then she's
dead
been there for like
before
a couple
that.
of
I
days.
know.
I was like, holy
Yeah.
fuck.
She got
I mean,
burned.
I feel like those types of things when you watch them, they like you think of them in a different light when
It's
you have
way too close
a
to home
kid.
when you have
Not
a
to
kid.
like harp on it or whatever,
Especially
but I don't know
if
that I
it's
was
a
I don't know. I just thought the first season of Last of Us did a good job of being emotionally effective, giving effective action, a lot of plot, a lot of stuff, and I actually thought I'll end it on this unless you guys want to comment on it. I thought two of the most effective scenes in the entire show were the cold opens of the first two episodes. The first one being, Joel and Sarah, right? That was his daughter that died
Yeah.
yes,
in Texas, like that
Yeah.
stuff, and also the scientists beforehand on the talk
TV
show,
yeah.
talking about like the one guy, the guy from the Mummy. That was
Yeah,
like,
that was the
yes.
best.
listen, we have cure for viruses, but fungus we have no cure for. We lose. Like I thought that was one of the creepiest
Yeah.
scenes of the entire show, and then the second episode
Because
opened
it's-
with what was it? It was Singapore or where was it that they showed where it
forgot.
initiated?
Off the top of my head.
It was India
somewhere in
or-
India.
No.
India.
It was
yeah.
very creepy. Either way, it was very
It was
creepy
at a
stuff.
wheat and grain factory.
Yeah, so
That
that's
was frightening.
Yeah, that was very,
'Cause
very,
that-
very creepy.
No
And like,
biscuits for you.
you see
her
her
being
yeah,
like,
sorry.
her just being like, you need to carpet bomb the entire area, and I'd
Yeah.
like to go say bye to my family before you do
and
it.
and she's
So,
like a scientist that studies like pathogens. She's like,
Yeah.
nope, there's no
That
hope.
was-
Bye.
yeah.
That
Episode
was-
1,
yeah.
2, out of this world.
Yeah.
Up there with any 1, 2 that you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't watch Game of Thrones because actually I did watch season.
See, so you can't
First
really
three,
comment.
actually, I did
I-
watch
I
the
know,
first
I did watch
three
first three
seasons.
seasons,
How
and
did
then
you forget about that?
I'm sorry, Game of early Game of Thrones was
boring and
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Stop, man.
All right,
We're not
anyway,
here to talk about Game.
we are not.
or
Did you watch
Canada
Game of
or South Park.
No? All right, we're not here.
All right, so that's The Last of Us. If you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard of this, it's on HBO. It's a 9-episode show, and each episode's between like an hour. And the
They're not
finale
even
was
an
like
hour.
45 minutes.
They're all
by the
only
way.
like 45
crazy.
minutes.
Which I actually mentioned to the cat. I was like, that felt short, and I was like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
43 minutes.
The
Yeah.
longest
But you know
one
what?
was
Hey,
the first
bravo!
episode.
You have a story to tell. Don't extend it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bang it out.
You know what?
In however
you
long
know what
you
I
have.
would do though if I was one of the doctors in The Last of Us and I was trying to figure out a cure.
What?
I would just get a bunch of pregnant women, like take all the pregnant women,
Here we go.
A bunch of pregnant women?
a bunch of pregnant women,
Okay.
and then let
Yeah.
one of the moss
Which they would
eating
completely
monsters.
consent.
Yes, they would,
Just
yeah.
what
Like,
you're
they-
doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Andrew,
Well,
let
no,
me
that-
go with you.
No,
like,
but this is the apocalypse. You can do whatever you want. You put them in
yeah.
there and you stay there, and then you let one of those weird fucking creatures in. It's like blowing out fucking hay mouth, and it's like into their other mouth.
A mouth?
It's hay mouth.
What do you mean their other mouth?
No, but...
The fucking cordyceps.
No, I know what you
Their
mean.
asshole?
Cordyceps give out hay
Like,
mouth. It's hay mouth.
yes.
Hay mouth. It's hay mouth. Into the other ones, and you let them infect them, and then
He lets the tentacles
so they're
in his
infected
skin.
while they're pregnant, so it's getting into the bloodstream.
That's
Oh my God.
so
And then you
fucked
just
up.
then
kill
you just
all the
let go.
mothers, take the babies.
I'm
and
way
then you
too high
find
for
the
this.
fucking.
What are we talking
What
about?
is
You
the matter
find
with
you
you?
find the cure. That's how I would do it if I was a doctor
Okay, well you're not.
in The Last of Us.
Thank God.
So you wouldn't
Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
do
Goebbels,
surgery?
like,
You
what
wouldn't
would you
do
do?
surgery on Ellie's brain and cut her brain out? and
No,
use
I
it
would
as a
just
thing?
take
No.
You would just sacrifice
Babies.
all these pregnant women.
Oh, God.
A bunch of pregnant women.
But at this
coming
point,
with
though,
me.
You're gonna gang of these
at
pregnant
this
women.
point, though, what else are you going to do? This is the end of
How
the
are you
world.
going to get them to follow you?
Well,
Is
you're
what
not a
my-
doctor
I
now.
could just be a
You're
Christian.
definitely not going to become a
and
doctor
preach.
during the end of
No.
the
I'll
world.
preach to them. I'll just
My God.
draw them in with my cult
Okay.
views.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Okay,
With
Godfather.
your Chick-fil-A mac and cheese, be like, hey, pregnant ladies.
See?
I have
Hey,
Chick-fil-A
guys.
I
mac
got-
and
You
cheese.
can make
I
fun
got-
of Christians.
Follow
you can't make fun of
me.
anyone
I got
else.
Dietz and Watson
Just-
pickles.
That's
and-
my
Yeah.
point of that joke.
I don't care. No, you can make fun of Christians all you want.
Yeah,
They-
Christians
they're
are the worst.
Yeah, they're
See,
the
you
worst.
can literally say that. You can go, Christians are the worst.
They are.
If you said that about any other person.
I know
If you
we
were
were
like, hey,
thinking.
guess what? You know
Leave
who's
it
the
alone.
worst? And then you're
Leave
like,
it
what?
alone.
Yeah,
Leave
can't
it
say
alone.
that.
Leave it alone.
Just saying. Just saying. You can say Christians suck, right? No?
Yeah.
You're going to cut this out?
No,
Cut it out.
I'm not, because
It's a
I
point
don't care.
made.
Christians stink. I
You
agree.
know who else stinks? You can say cat
You
stinks.
do. I was
You
gonna
can
say
say
you
cat
do.
stinks, 'cause cat's the worst.
What I was going to say was, maybe now's a good
I was gonna
opportunity
say
to take a quick 90-second break and hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Cool.
It's official. The critics' decision is in. Spooky World is spectacular. Enter the new black hole. If you dare. Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200.
It's America's horror theme park, Spooky World. Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula. Sleepy Clovers.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's killer this year. Then right next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
And we're back. Hello. All right, so, Kat, we had the pleasure of
Hi.
watching Cocaine Bear last
We
night,
did,
which I really enjoyed. But I will let you lead off with your thoughts. We didn't talk about it after we watched it. You tell me. What do you think of Cocaine Bear,
we
which
did
you can now
talk-
rent video on demand?
We talked briefly about it.
Yes.
However, I thought it was good.
Okay.
I can't help but think, though, Kevin, that you sound like
How many
You
thumbs?
sound like an AI version of a human being.
I
I
get
kind of like thumbs up, good movie.
I get nervous. when
What
it's
do you think?
What do you think? It's like when a teacher calls on you at school. And you're like, I don't want to talk. This is
Good
so
evening.
embarrassing.
Well, you're on a podcast.
I
You
know.
might have to talk.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
that's
No,
true.
I know. I like to just kind of be the heckler in the back. I like that
Like
kind
Not
of.
this
Sattler
time.
and
Yeah.
or
Right.
Waldorf.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
okay, we'll give your opinion, though,
The
first.
spotlight is a little daunting.
Glaring?
It's okay. Yes.
How was the movie about the bear that did cocaine? Can you give me an answer?
I haven't seen it.
So it was funny.
Cat.
I think it was like almost a slow burn funny in that sense of like I felt like it was going to be immediately this like slapstick comedy thing, and it kind of rolled into that eventually.
I mean, it was that. It definitely
was.
was
Is
that.
that what it
But
was?
not-
a slapstick comedy?
Kind of. Oh
Kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
It definitely.
whole-
It was very. It was very
Yes.
much. It's like to the type
Yeah.
of movie.
Yeah, that's
But
It's, I would
like
always
that.
compare it to like in terms of tone, like to like Army of Darkness. It's
At
very,
one
very
point-
much a horror movie that knows it's a comedy.
But at one point,
1,000%.
I
Impressive.
wasn't sure if it was a horror or comedy at one point when I was watching it. I was like, wait a minute, is this being like trying to be real or is this trying to be funny? Like it was kind of like I was like, I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of gore. There's a
There's
lot of violence.
gore.
There's a lot of good monster stuff with
Yeah,
the bear.
yeah, it's got interesting.
The
elements.
CGI is a little spotty in
Oh,
places.
the CGI is terrible.
Like you
It's
know
terrible. You
the
know
entire time you're
exactly
watching the
when
movie
you're
that
watching
the bear
CGI.
is CGI.
It's bad.
Which
Isn't that-
kind of
isn't-
stinks.
Isn't that the point of a bad funny horror movie is that
Correct.
you know
yes,
that it's
yes.
You know it's
No,
not
so
gonna-
you're okay. So you're right and you're not right
In
because
terms of creature features,
yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah, I feel like it. Yeah.
No, we need to do a review on is Shinzilla.
No say.
Is that the?
Never heard of it.
Is that the one with the baboon?
It's the 2016
No, never mind.
newer version
What am
of,
I thinking of?
Godzilla, but it's like as it evolves.
Shinzilla.
It was
It's-
just about
yeah,
Godzilla's
It's so
shins.
fucking good, dude. I just watched the other Godzilla movie. We didn't talk about movies we watched, so I was like, I'm talking about Godzilla.
We're
Dude with awful
we're
shins.
getting there. We're getting. We
He's-
didn't get
he's
there yet.
skipped
Well, we're
you.
not in the natural order of
We're
that.
still talking about me and my thoughts about Cocaine Bear, and you
Yeah.
just totally took over my.
Well, I
area.
was bored with Cocaine
So-
Bear because you were going, yeah, it's pretty good.
Listen, we only
Oh.
Kat and I
From
saw it. We don't need to
fucking
go on
Midwest
forever. Let's just
town.
come on,
Yeah,
guys.
keep
Come on,
going,
come on,
keep
come
going.
on.
Go ahead. Do
I
you
just-
think?
no, you're
Talk
good.
about
Keep
whatever.
going.
Done with the cocaine.
I got nothing to talk about.
Wow. Okay. Word. Matt,
but you
what do you
have
have to
other
talk
things to
about?
No, Kat, we're the only two that have seen Cocaine Bear,
I
so
said
you and I are the
this.
ones talking
I
about
said
it.
I liked it.
Okay, that's it. Nothing else.
I mean, it was good. I'd say rent it, give it a watch, smoke some weed before you.
That's
do,
why
because
I was
need
making
it.
fun of her.
So
Yeah, I thought Cocaine Bear was actually awesome. I really enjoyed the movie the entire time. I thought the actors in it sold it the entire time. It's definitely like if you were to look at the marketing for this, you would think that it's like a snakes on a plane type movie, and it is not that at all.
That's
Like
a shame.
the actors are not playing it seriously. Like there's a few times they probably like they look directly at the camera and like not actually wink, but they're talking to you as the
They're giving
audience.
you
So like,
the-
yeah, they know it's a
Jim from
fucking
The Office.
stupid movie and like. It's Ray Liotta's last movie before he
I
died, so like his
know.
character's in it a lot, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
But like even all the other actors are like doing a good job selling. Like Ice Cube's kid is in it; he plays a major role. The kid that played Han Solo in the Disney Han Solo origin movie, he's in that. Carrie Russell. There's a
Russell's in it.
shitload.
I know
Margot
her.
Martindale's in
What's
it. Like there's a shitload of people in it. But I thought it was a really
of shit's in
fun
it, yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Margot Martindale was
So, yeah.
a bird.
But it was funny because like it was
You don't know who
directed
that
by
is?
Elizabeth Banks, and all I think of Elizabeth
Beth
Banks is
from
Beth from
40-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because like my coworker Lindsay was saying, she's like,
You
oh,
don't think of her as Miri
no,
from Zack
yeah,
and Miri
I was gonna
Make a
say,
Porno?
I think she
That
was,
too.
I think
that's
she was
true.
part producer. In
Or
Zack
and
Miri
she's in
Making Porno.
Slither.
That's
Oh,
right.
no,
Yeah,
no,
she
no.
was. Yeah.
Zack and Miri Making Porno is the best out of that.
I love.
Very
I love
funny
this
yes,
movie. Yeah.
I know.
Hilarious.
But my friend Lindsay, well, my coworker Lindsay, she was saying, she's like, oh, she's from Pitch Perfect, and I was like, well, I've seen Pitch Perfect. I don't remember.
Never seen
I don't
it.
know.
Couldn't
I
comment.
It's the one with Anna Kendrick.
I know.
Whatever. But yes, the
Yeah, cups.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
know how to
yeah,
do that.
I get it. I understand. Do you? Yeah, do it.
Adam
Yeah.
Devine's in
You
it,
want me
too.
to do it?
No, no. I believe you can.
Workaholics underrated.
I believe
you
you.
have to
I love
actually
Workaholics.
switch
It's
it
a
up.
great-
We can talk about your background in dancing
Catherine
when we talk about this
Zeta-Jones.
movie tonight.
Oh,
Because,
You can
yeah,
try.
we're talking
Cool.
about that. All right, so that's Last of Us. That's Cocaine Bear. Who would like to go next in terms of watch list stuff?
I already went.
Andrew,
I
Matt.
have a couple.
Matt can go.
So I did see Scream 6.
Yes.
All right, yeah.
Overall, vague, no spoiler thoughts.
Yeah, I can't give a
'Cause
lot
I
of thoughts
really
about it
wanna go
without
see it.
spoiling it. So
I have to say-
stay vague.
You and I will talk later. I care so little about this movie. I went on Wikipedia and I
Boo,
read the
boo.
entire plot, so I know
Wow.
how it ends.
Boo.
Really?
Boo, boo, boo.
Oh, see,
You
you're
see
just
it?
the worst.
Dude,
Yeah, why would
Dude,
you
fuck
do
Scream.
that?
Fuck that movie.
Oh,
So
have no
I
idea. I wouldn't do that.
I almost think that this is like an anti-movie because of how it ends. You've just when it does end, you're like, well, this whole fucking thing was fucking pointless.
Yeah.
So it's just a fucking filler to make another movie.
Of course it is. That I mean, it's a
what all of
franchise.
them
They're
are.
going to keep doing it.
They've been
so-
doing
They're
this for
all-
how long
yeah.
now?
I mean, the first Scream came out in 1996.
Yeah, so it's been
26 years ago.
They're just going to keep going, fuck you, you're going to watch
Fuck you,
this.
fuck you.
Yeah.
Also, was Tim Robinson really in this movie?
Tim Robin?
Yeah,
Guy from I Think You Should Leave?
You
No.
should leave. Oh, no?
No.
I
No,
heard that he was in there.
I didn't hear that. You heard that.
I thought I saw that motherfucker was in this movie. What movie was he in?
Yeah. So actually, we should say because I know we talked about on the Leprechaun, the St. Patrick's Day special, which was a fun episode to record. That we were initially going to cover Scream 6 this week, and we did not get the opportunity to see it, all of us. So now we're talking
I
to
was the
you
only
about about a different movie tonight. But yeah, I was when you said you were going to see it, I was like, oh shit, I kind of do want to see it, but I heard I heard everybody like kissing its ass and saying it was like great and like the best
It's
one
not
since
like
the
it's not
original,
poorly
like-
made. by
Yeah.
any means. Like it's
Well, Radio Silence directed it, and they're awesome. They're
So
fucking great.
he is in the movie. He's the voice of Quinn's boyfriend. I didn't even know. I just assumed he was like in it. I was like, Tim Robinson.
Yeah, no, it's fucking. It's not poorly made. The story was like, it was if it played out the way it seems like it's going to. It's like, wow, like that was that was a lot. But then it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like at the last minute, everything just kind of was like, nope, 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 and then you're like, oh, all right, well, what the fuck did I just sit here for 2 hours and 10 minutes for?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely watch it whenever it comes.
I'm sure it'll come into like Paramount.
Even though I already know how it ends.
I probably won't watch this because once you get past like 4, I'm good.
I at least now know.
brings
I'll
back
never
a couple
tell
old
Kat how it
characters.
ends, and then we can
I
watch it.
don't give a fuck about that.
Okay.
I watched Night of the Creeps, which is an 80s alien zombie movie, which is fucking good, just fucking ridiculous fun.
Nice.
Watch it if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
I watched a movie called Rolling Thunder. This isn't really a horror movie, but it's a really violent revenge movie from the 70s about a Vietnam vet that comes home and his whole family is killed because he gets robbed. And
Nice.
him and Tommy Lee Jones, a young Tommy Lee Jones, exact revenge on the
Was Tommy Lee
scumbags that do
Jones
it.
ever young? That's
Yeah.
wild to me, right?
In
Yeah,
1977 he was.
Apparently, I guess.
Dude, really cool. It was the same writer as Taxi Driver. And it also ends in a shootout
Really?
in a whorehouse. So
What's the name of it again?
Rolling Thunder.
Rollin' Thunder.
I'll have to check that out.
Very good movie. Like 90 minutes
That
long.
sounds like
you're in and out.
my type of movie.
You're in and out,
Yeah.
dude.
I want to be in and
It
out
was
as
good.
fast as possible.
Not in and out was Enter the Void by Gaspar Noé.
Another Gaspar Noé movie for you, huh?
This clocks in at 161 minutes. This is his like
Jesus.
magnum opus. Very, very impressive movie. It's about a drug dealer and his sister who moved to Japan. He ends up getting killed, and you are following... the whole thing is, like, in his point of view, and you're following his soul that basically gives you, like, a Christmas Story look at before, present, and after he's dead. And all the horrible things that have happened to him, happen to get him there, are happening after he's died. It's very fucking bleak, depressing movie, but it was very, very... that's it.
Okay. Excellent.
Excellent.
I have one that I want to talk about real quick.
Go ahead, real quick.
So this is one that anybody can watch. You don't have to have a streaming service. So I've seen this horror series called The Unknowable looped in on Bloody Disgusting. I saw it looped in with Skinamarink and The Outwaters as like the new wave of like lo-fi analog liminal horror. Like all those terms are being used to describe the same thing of horror. So The Unknowable, you can watch, it's a 39-minute thing split up across 10 episodes. You can watch it for free on YouTube. And I'm sorry, what?
I already talked about this like 5 episodes ago.
Okay. So
bring it up, baby.
He's like,
how did you know that I was not going to give you some credit for this?
Well, I don't know. I just wanted to yell
you're
at
just
you.
going to be an asshole.
Yeah, I was
okay. Fair enough.
Actually,
He's gonna
fair
say-
enough, sir.
Yeah.
You're correct. Sorry, I love you.
So,
Mike.
again,
yes, I was being a dick.
you can
Sorry.
watch the whole 10-episode thing, which lasts 39 minutes. Each video is like 2.5, between 2.5 and like 8 minutes long. And you can watch it on YouTube for free, which I feel like is really a really cool way to release this thing, especially because it's getting so much buzz. But it's essentially like a fake, like black and white documentary, like horror series that it's about a family that moves, like the Outwaters, to the Mojave Desert, basically to build this shrine to this cosmic power that the dad, husband, father figure has had visions of. So he goes out to the desert to build this shrine to this stuff in hopes of summoning this cosmic race of beings. But, I mean...
One problem with it, though, Mike. There's one problem.
Oh, wait, did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so hold on. Wait, let's get there
I mean,
first.
he's not Otis, so don't like.
No.
Listen.
Listen, I'm just trying to finish my thought. Jesus Christ. But there's there's elements of cosmic horror, like witchcraft, like true crime, serial killers, LSD cults. It's fucking weird. And the whole thing, you know how Skinamarink, whether you loved it or hated it, used public domain cartoons. This does that interspersed with actual footage of the filmmakers doing black and white old timey shit. So it's really cool. It's interesting, and the whole thing is narrated almost like kind of like a Rod Serling
So the whole
type
thing's 40
character.
minutes
So
long.
it's like
40 minutes.
Yeah, it's actually pretty
It's
cool.
on YouTube for free.
It was very creative. I thought it was done very well. I mean, the story was okay. I have a feeling it's going to be made into a movie, and it does not need to be made into a movie. And if it does, I'm going to be like, no, I'm good. Nope. But it's going to happen. I guarantee it. But it's, again, free on YouTube. It's called The Unknowable. And Andrew, sorry. Go ahead. I know you're...
It's a very It's just a very subjective enjoyance to this show.
Enjoyance?
Whatever it is. It's... Nothing is happening. It's one of those stupid mockumentaries that was made and you watched it in, like, high school when you were fucking 14 years old. It's like nothing happens.
Do you remember what
images of people and then they say something? It's like if you enjoy watching unsolved mysteries, which I mean,
clearly
who doesn't? Then you probably would like this.
I wish. Do you? If I could have a GIF of just what you just did.
The hands,
oh
the
my
hands
god,
are
that'd
out
be
of control.
fucking amazing.
So
you always have the gestures.
I mean, it was just this like.
It was like
this,
no.
like just glee that just
It was
came
just like
about.
ain't nothing wrong with unsolved mysteries.
This is what that
Andrew,
reminds me of.
Do you remember what the name of the serial, the nickname for the serial
Lucky
killer
Charms.
was?
In The Unknowable?
Yeah. I'll Venmo you
It was something
$100
like
for
it had
that.
it
Oh,
wasn't,
don't be pulling me.
It was
Don't be
similar
doing that.
to a Ripper, but it wasn't.
No.
No, what the fuck was it?
The clown with no paint on his face.
Oh yeah, that.
Remember that?
Idiot.
That's stupid name.
No.
It
Yeah,
gets
so-
a little.
It's a little, dude.
It's a little boring.
I didn't say it's the best
not
thing in
the
the history of
best
the
thing ever.
world.
Have you guys-
It's creative, but that's okay. So that's
It was
The
good, though.
Unknowable
If
on YouTube.
people are gonna talk about Skinamarink, it's orgasmic. Like,
Like
what are we
dinky
talking
dink?
about? Like, that movie sucks.
Have
Like,
you
I don't
guys
fucking
ever
do it.
seen Begotten?
Begotten?
No.
Do you know what Begotten is?
No.
You've never even heard of it?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
So this is a movie that came out in like 1990 or 1991. It's big time art film, but it's so incredibly disturbing.
Okay.
But it's very in terms of like these like minimal kind of like you're just kind of seeing things happen. You guys have to fucking give this. I actually got a copy
Begotten?
of it on DVD. Begotten. Yeah. Yeah, it's very David Lynchy. So yeah,
I've actually kind of found myself interested in the David Lynch type stuff recently. I'm not gonna lie.
you've seen Eraserhead, right?
Oh my god, of course. I actually thought perfect segue. Anyone else? Andrew, you got anything you want to talk about in terms of that you watched before we get into tonight's movie? Or are you gonna?
No,
you gonna?
I watched. What did I watch? I watched 2014 Godzilla.
I meant to put a pin in there.
Very underrated
Eraserhead. Which wait, 2000 or
The one with
2014?
Bryan Cranston. 2014.
I thought you were going to say the
Not
the one with
with
Hank
Matt-
Azaria. Oh my god,
Hank
No.
Azaria or Matthew
Godzilla
Broderick.
2000. Yeah, got Matthew Broderick. They're
one
both
wants to
in it.
watch that movie.
Okay, all right. So
No, the one with Cranston, 2014.
Yeah, and, Aaron
That's
Taylor
actually one of the
Johnson.
better Godzilla movies.
I mean, Godzilla's
I
only
think.
in it for like the last 20 minutes.
And
Barely.
Bryan Cranston's
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
in it
it's
for
more
the
like
first 20
Mothra or
minutes.
whatever the fucking thing is.
All the
That's
other
a terrifying
like,
monster.
cryptids.
Though.
Yeah,
One
they're
of the best
scary. They're
monsters.
spooky.
Like, yeah, I like that
spooky.
monster.
Monster.
And then I watched the King of Comedy, which is. I didn't realize the Joker just was like, "Hey, Todd Phillips is like, I'm gonna rip off this movie and do the exact
Oh, yeah.
same
Or
thing." What a
and
fucking
Taxi Driver.
what a fucking joke that is.
And use
Like, I
it
have
to make a superhero movie.
Dude, I'm wondering if they're gonna turn fucking Lady Gaga into Sandra Bernhardt's character in the King of Comedy in this second one.
Well, she's supposed to be Harley Quinn.
Yeah, but what if she's gonna be? I wonder if she's gonna do the same shit because they left out a lot that they could whatever they could rip off of if they wanted to.
I
Okay.
find it crazy that what's his name, Todd Phillips.
Yeah, the
Phillips,
Hangover.
who
guy?
directed
had
Hangover.
an incredible run with making some of the best modern comedies ever.
Yeah.
It's
With
just
Old
like,
School and The
oh,
Hangover,
yes.
and then he's like, "What
Dude.
if I just ripped off
Honestly,
Taxi Driver
yeah,
and
like,
made
what
it
are you
way
doing?
worse?"
What are you doing?
For a bunch of like incel fucking nerds to worship.
Dude, I think old school and old school and Hangover
That
might
have
be
been the
two of my
greatest
favorite
thing
comedies.
anybody's ever said on this podcast. Yes.
It's true. Like it's
He's
like,
fucking-
dude, like
Can you say it one more time?
I said that
With inflection.
with what?
Inflection.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Just
He wants you to say it in a stoic manner
Yeah.
so that
So I said,
you can be quoted forever.
why? I'm trying to even remember exactly how I worded it, but why is it that Todd
go,
Brown? I keep wanting to say Todd Browning. That Todd Phillips, who directed some of the greatest modern comedies with Old School and The Hangover, decided, I'm going to rip off Taxi Driver just so I can get incels to worship this fucking movie because, fuck, I don't know.
You did say incels. I thought you called them edgelords for a minute.
No,
It was
incels. Just dudes that hate women because they can't get laid. Which is exactly what that fucking movie is. That's exactly what Taxi Driver is. But Taxi Driver was just way fucking better.
Yeah.
And that was written by the same Paul Schrader that wrote that movie Rolling Thunder.
Oh, interesting to know. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a bunch of
yeah. Joker was
regurgitation.
totally a rip-off of Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. Like, it's not even. I'm surprised that you are just finding this out now. Like, it's wild.
I didn't realize it was that much of a ripoff.
yeah.
Because I had never seen that
Big
movie
time.
before. And then when I watched it for myself, I went, wow, what a fucking ripoff.
Right?
Although, can't take away from Joaquin.
Joaquin,
I
baby.
love Joaquin.
No, he was great.
very good in that.
He was very good
I
at
think
it,
he
but
would
it
do
just
very well.
Calls
It's
him
just funny that-
Joaquin.
Yeah.
Joaquin.
It's also funny that Robert De Niro's in both of those movies.
Of course,
kind of weird.
Andrew, the movie is an homage to the King of Comedy. Of course, he's
It's
in
not
it.
an homage. It's a fucking
rip-off and
rip-off.
homage.
Like, what are you just
All right,
reusing
so
a movie?
Todd Phillips would tell you it is an homage.
And I would tell Todd Phillips he's full of fucking shit.
Yeah.
Because you are.
That was it wasn't him that I was mad about. It was all the people that were worshiping this movie and saying like this was like anything. I'm like, dude, go watch fucking Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Instead
talking
of
to me?
him being a fucking taxi driver, he's a fucking comedian.
He's still
It's the
a
exact
psychopath.
same movie. He hangs out with a bunch of fucking weirdos. He can't get any pussy, and then he fucking kills everybody about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's all it fucking
Except
is.
the only thing...
The only
that's
cool
different-
thing about Taxi Driver is he fucking saves a little girl.
Yeah. Yep. Played by Jodie
John Foster, yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
But also, in the King of Comedy, though, does he actually gain success after he gets out of prison?
No,
Or
of course not. No,
Are you sure about that? Because I don't know if I get that.
Do you remember Robert De Niro's character's name in King of Comedy?
Just watched it like fucking yesterday. It starts with an R. It's
It does start with an R.
Pumpkin.
Rupert
Pumpkin.
Rumpkin.
Pumpkin, yeah. He's like fucking, what's his name for the SNL?
Rupert Pupkin.
And
He's Rumpkin.
who's Tom Hanks guy in the SNL?
Rumpelstiltskin.
David S. Pumpkins.
David
S.
Pumpkins.
Pumpkins.
Yeah, so stupid.
I love
All right.
David S. Pumpkins. Oh, I can't wait for the fall.
All right,
We're
so
not even
I'm so
spring
ready
yet.
to go
I
so
can't
fucking
wait. I
deep
can't wait.
into
All right,
this
so
movie.
is that it in terms of stuff before we get into tonight's flick?
I think we're at like 8
Yeah.
hours, so yeah, we're good.
Sure. Okay. All right, we're going to come back and talk to you about something really fucking weird. We'll be back. Guys,
There's a ball in there.
and we're back. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Sometimes there are movies that become available to watch that have become such a legend in the cult film library that you just need to watch them. And I feel like one of the biggest pieces of news in the horror community this year, in 2023, is the fact that Possession is now streaming on Shudder, which is the movie that we're now going to talk about. Wow, what a trip. And this movie was suggested by Matt, so I feel like I would be remiss if I did not let Matt lead the discussion on this movie tonight. Matt, so talk to me about Possession, why you picked it, what you think of it, and everything in between.
So when you guys brought me on officially, this was one of the first movies I wanted us to review, but I knew that there was a time and place for that to happen. I think I needed to kind of get a little bit
Wade
of
through the waters?
a little seniority under my belt first.
You could have put this up immediately. And it would be
I don't know
like,
if
yes,
seniority is
let's do
the
it.
right word, but I mean,
Tenure.
I feel like you were always
Yeah.
welcomed on
Influence?
with open arms.
Yeah, just either way, I knew it was kind of going to be a hot take to throw in right off the rip. It's a heavy fucking movie. There's a lot going on. And I was glad to kind of establish my taste a little bit throughout my reviews and things I've talked about watching and this, that, and the other thing. That being said, I watched this movie online last year. Probably, it was before I was on the podcast, I think.
Okay.
Officially. I want to say it was sometime in the spring. And I remember I forget exactly where I heard it. I want to say I picked up the movie itself, like in terms of just knowing what it was from In Search of Darkness. I think they talked about it on part 1.
That makes sense.
If not part 2. they all kind of blend. But and I was like, well, I got to see this. And I was also watching Cursed Films, where they talked a lot about it's got a crazy name. I'm gonna have to look at it in a minute. But another European director. But this is Andrzej. I don't know how to say his name.
Okay,
Zulawski
yeah.
is the last name.
His only English language film, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of them are Polish.
Yep.
And so I was like, all right, I got to check this movie out. It looks crazy, and it fucking is crazy. It's got a young, very, very young Sam Neill, who I think was only like 26.
Yeah, because Jurassic Park came out in 93.
I feel like he looks old in Jurassic Park.
93, so filmed in like 92. So he was probably close to...
He looks
came out in
very
81.
Mid-30s?
So this had to have been filmed in 79, 80, right? If it was released in 81.
And then Isabelle Adjani was in it as well. She was born in 55.
I mean...
So
dude,
she wasn't even 30.
What a babe.
Man.
Yeah, she was
What
fantastic.
a babe indeed.
And that's the definition of just full-blown letting go. And just... acting your fucking ass off.
Oh, the acting in this movie is unprecedented.
So
it's so good.
When I first watched this movie, I had a very hard time kind of understanding what the fuck was going on, which I'm sure, I don't know, everybody thinks the first time they watch it. So then I bought the movie. Actually, Sarah got it for me, I think for my birthday. I gave her kind of a wish list of movies I wanted on Blu-ray, and this is one of them, which surprisingly is a Region A, which means that I can watch it on an American Blu-ray player. Because being so exclusive to where it was and not being able to stream it or watch it anywhere, I couldn't believe that was...
Well, you just said, last year you had to watch it on your computer? Like, it wasn't available anywhere to watch?
Yeah, I had to go online and kind of, figure out a way to watch it with a VPN.
See? And then all of a sudden, now it's...
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, someone got the rights to it.
Horror's on its way.
Somebody got the rights to it.
Is the DVD the shortened American cut from the early 80s, or is it the full version?
It's 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Okay, so how could I even question
Kat
that? 'Cause I
thinks
know
it's
that
like
you would
73
not.
It's
minutes.
very long.
Yeah, I know.
Which I believe is the uncut. It is
Yeah.
the uncut version.
You would. Matt would never buy the cut version.
Well, what are you doing if you...
Well, that was why,
Right.
and I specifically own a separate Blu-ray player to play non-American films, if need be.
I remember you telling me about this with what was it?
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. That's
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
So I have that just in case. But anyway, so I got the movie and I watched it again. With the second viewing, I definitely picked up a lot more of what was happening in terms of just the story playing out and why. Watching it last night for the third time, there's logic behind what actually is happening. Have you guys ever seen The Brood?
Yeah, the Cronenberg movie. Yep. That's a gross movie.
Yeah, but it's a big representation of mental anguish being manifested into physical
Pregnancies.
malice, basically.
Yeah.
That is this. And she explains it. The thing when you're watching it for the first couple of times is when you're hearing her talk and she's explaining things, you're kind of writing her off as crazy.
Yeah.
But
Immediately, yeah.
when you're watching it for a few times and you know what is going on physically behind the scenes, what she's saying is explaining what is happening. Which, it's still crazy, but that's the explanation for what everything actually is. So this movie tackles a lot of things. It tackles marital issues, violence, abuse, infidelity, and divorce, just hatred, resentment of having children. It's a lot. It's a lot
of stuff. Yeah.
And that's really the first third or the first act of the movie. And then you get into the second act, which kind of you're finding out what's going on with her, that she's hiding something other than just hooking up with this other guy.
Right.
And so Sam...
The dance. Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
And as that all plays out, that's tackling more of a physical manifestation of grief and anger and all these feelings that get kind of bottled down. Then it kind of gets into like a doppelganger kind of situation. It gets a little bit...
Yeah, there's a lot here.
Almost... Yeah, it's incredibly complex to unwind. So I think this is going to be quite a conversation to have.
Yeah.
And this is the first time all three of you have watched this?
Correct.
I saw it.
I had never seen it.
So did you watch it again?
I didn't watch it again. I should have watched it again, but I hadn't watched The Last of Us. So
this movie is 2 hours and 4 minutes. It's 2 hours and 4 minutes uncut, from what I understand.
Yeah,
it was long. Movie.
This is a movie that does not feel like it's 2 hours and 4 minutes.
No.
It feels like it's 4 hours and 2 minutes.
Yes.
And I think it's because brutal. There's so many scenes, there's so many cuts, there's so many... Like, you're constantly being yanked in every direction. And because of that, there's just so much information to try and take in and understand, which seems completely impossible when you're first watching it. And it is long. Even last night I was watching it, I was like, man, this movie really is fucking long.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not. It's almost 2 hours flat, which you can watch The Wolf of Wall Street, which is 3 hours, and you're like, that felt like I fucking just watched a half-hour movie.
I know.
But it's just because of how it's paced, and like there's just so much to digest. So this is to me, I and as I was watching it last night, I kind of felt like this was the European answer to Stanley Kubrick's Shining. But you have to separate Stephen King from that movie. If you look at The Shining, which when I watched Kubrick's Shining, I don't think of it as a Stephen King story. I think of it as a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah, it's not.
And so if I do that, I look at this as an answer to that because if you watch it a couple times, there's very similar shots. There's very similar color schemes. There's very similar just relationship, like, turbulence that you're kind of witnessing. And it's very up and down.
You're actually 1,000% correct.
Thank you.
It is The Shining.
And even down to the kid having kind of this like knowledge of these weird things that are happening, but there's a lot of curveballs that are thrown into this movie. So I know that a lot of people I was like really, really, really hyping it up that this came to Shudder, and I had a handful of people watch this movie and they're like, dude, I could not get through it. Which is understandable, whether it be like they were like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't want to watch these people fight because whether it was annoying, whether it was too realistic for them to watch and deal with,
it's a lot of things
whether it was just they didn't understand what was happening the whole time, many different factors, and I kind of was just like, dude, just try to watch it as much as you can. And if you can't, fuck it. If you can't watch it, you can't watch it. It's fine. It is what it is. It's a very hard movie to watch. So that was another reason that I kind of was like, maybe we won't do this so early, but I was like, I think I want to jump on this one this week. Yeah. So, it is a wild fucking movie. Yeah. And if you haven't seen it, definitely give it a shot. It demands your undivided attention if you can give it. And it demands multiple rewatches. And I do think with each one, it gets much more like clear to kind of decide what is actually happening and what it means and why. That's what I have to say. I don't want to get into like the actual story. We'll break it down, but
that's fine. So Matt, I've heard you say a couple times on this show that we've talked about movies. The two I'm thinking of specifically are Men and Hereditary. That you feel when you're watching these that you're a fly on the wall of a situation that you just should not. Yeah. You're not supposed to. I feel like that's the entire movie is, it's terrible. It honestly, it's awful. It's terrible. And you're seeing fights between a couple that you're not supposed to see. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing I thought of the entire time I was watching. I was like, Matt, like this is an A24 movie before A24 was 1,000%, I'm convinced. It's just like you have the emotional horror that leads for the first hour. And then the second hour leans into a Mike movie. It's tentacles. You want to have.
I like that you didn't answer when I asked that. I was
the thing.
Well, she's worms, and you didn't say anything.
Fucking Marriage Story from Netflix like last year. It's just like it's wild. Like.
Well, that's why
it's the type of thing that should not exist. It's so weird.
I think it borrows so much from Cronenberg's Brood because that only came out. That came out in '79. This came out in 81. This does not feel like an 80s movie at all. This feels like a a 70s movie.
This feels ahead of its time.
Well, this feels
really
like
does.
now.
But I feel like this feels like, when I think of this movie and I watch it stylistically, I think of The Exorcist, I think of The Omen, I think of The Godfather, I think of Alien.
And I like The Shining's Mill.
So great
The music in this movie is fucking
films.
unbelievable.
The music's awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
It's very subtle, but you get those like little kind of like... It's just like, it's chilling.
Yeah.
Because anytime that... And like, to think of the first time watching it, you're like, this movie's called Possession. What does that mean?
You always think you're getting into like an Emily Rose.
It's
like,
a whole different type of possession.
But you're asking yourself, is this woman possessed?
No.
What has happened to her that she's acting? This guy comes home from he's a spy. This also takes place in Berlin.
A spy.
During
I was
going
to say, we're going to get to talking about that. We can talk about it right now, but obviously, like, I think there is... The theme of this movie is, like, division, right? Not the math problem, but, like, the people being divided. Like, Sam Neill and Isabelle Adjani, right? Yep, so, like, even when they go to meet in the cafe... when Sam Neill
he's a fucking
throws all
asshole.
chairs.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think the general theme of this movie,
though, neither one of them are sitting looking into the mirror. They're both sitting with their backs
opposite each
to the
other.
mirror
Right.
in the corner. It's a weird thing. Like, this movie is about being divided, divorce, division, like that type.
Even
all
down to
that
the
shit.
point that there's a division between like who is the bad guy
Right.
in the two, because they both really aren't great. You know what I mean? And then you have poor Bob.
and then you get the moves.
They're both-
The moves
they're
that
both
she makes.
cutting
is
each
just-
other with the electric knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evil Dead
She's
before Evil
over
Dead.
here.
Yeah.
He's over here. Like,
Hold on
they're
one
just, like-
second.
Yeah.
Kat, what are you drinking, by the way?
A zombie water from Vitamin
Zombie
C.
water from Vitamin C.
Yes.
Very nice.
Pretty cool can.
It's
It
a very
is.
cool can. Very
Yes. It's 12% alcohol, some of these.
cool. Nice.
And
Only
that's gonna
two.
be
How's it-
I'm gonna be smammered by the end of this.
No,
Cool.
it's like having a glass of wine, honestly. Like
That's
having,
per
like,
750
actually,
milliliters.
A glass of wine is
Yeah.
like a half of this, so... No, but this isn't a pint. This is, what, 12 ounces?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's 12 ounces. It's
It's a lot.
not a lot. Stop it.
It's half of a 750.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So 2 of those is like a bottle.
All right, Matt.
That's what I
you
just
were
said.
saying. Anything
See,
else?
exactly. And I can do
I only
a
know
bottle of
that
wine.
because I work at a liquor and wine warehouse.
See, but that's
and I
good.
have-
That's good because I wouldn't know otherwise. I'd just be... Well, I'm glad I'm limiting myself to that.
I'm sorry.
Anything else?
No, I mean, like, there's just there's a lot of elements to this movie to break down. And I think it starts with, it's like the best way to do it is to just kind of think of like where it starts, and why it happens. And like, there's the only thing that I always have found confusing through each watch is where the teacher comes from. And that's the one thing that really confuses the shit out of me.
Teacher's beautiful, by the way.
Because she
Well, it's the
looks
same actor.
just
Green eyes.
it's her.
No, I know,
It's
I
her.
know.
It's
But-
the same person.
Yeah, so do you want me to kind of go through?
Yes,
the
I do.
synopsis of
I
the
want
movie?
Yeah,
to do that.
go for it.
So basically, Sam Neill plays Mark, who is a spy. They're in Berlin. He's coming home. This is in the midst of basically like leading up to what would be like the Berlin Wall being knocked down.
Correct. Yep.
And so
Gorbachev.
while he's home, he's constantly being harassed by his agency to kind of come back and go back to work. But he comes home and he kind of, right off the rip, his wife is very cold to him. She isn't exactly excited to see. And this is like the first like 50 seconds of the movie.
Oh, easily.
Like he comes
yeah.
home and gets off the plane and she's like not thrilled. And then she just turns her back and he's like, all right, I guess I'll fucking carry all my shit. And he comes home and he's just kind of adjusting to being home with his son, who he hasn't seen in quite a bit of time. It doesn't exactly say how long it is, but long enough that there's a disconnect of like familiarity. And so as that's happening, they begin kind of getting into arguments and going into deep discussions, and there's something's changed. Their marriage is no longer warm. There's a coldness between them, and eventually you find out that she's been with another guy, this guy Heinrich, who's been around for much longer than she was willing to admit. But then, so as that all plays out, he kind of like goes on a bender for a little bit, and when he finally comes to, he goes home and finds Bob, who I believe is 6, home alone, covered in food.
I know.
And like she's nowhere to be found, and there's no real way to tell how long he's just been left alone. And so their friend between the two of them, her name is Margit. She had said that her leg is broken and she can't. She was, I imagine, was supposed to come watch him and couldn't. And then Anna is the wife. She just never came back. So you kind of start to find out how these pieces fall into play, because he's calling these numbers that he thinks that of the guy that she's with, but then you find out she hasn't even been there. So he goes to the guy's house, who's just like kind of this like very philosophical douche, like
Very.
like yeah, he's very strange. He's doing a lot of psychedelic drugs. He's also very like in touch with like, he seems like an astrology kind of thing about him. Like, it's weird, but he also properly kicks the fucking shit out of
Kills him.
Yeah,
Kills
he fucks him up.
Woo.
And as that all kind of plays out, you're finding out that she's not even at that dude's place. So now you're like, well, then where the fuck is she? And so as it kind of continues, he starts kind of assuming the full role as the parent, because she can't do it. She's not around. So he, pulls himself up by the bootstraps. He's like, all right, I'm going to take care of Bob. And so as that happens, he's taking him to school, and the teacher is literally a like exact replica of his wife. She looks exactly the same, doppelganger, you'd call her, but with bright green eyes.
Big old beautiful green eyes.
And so she kind of comes in and starts assuming a motherly position, and you're kind of like, well, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And so finally you realize that she's been living in this like dilapidated apartment on her own, but there's something that's manifesting that she's feeding with body.
Yep. Yep.
I'm going to leave it at that for now. Mm-hmm. If you guys have any thoughts.
My thoughts were going to be like, this is an awesome movie that I don't necessarily know that I need to like revisit once a year, because it brings me a great amount of joy. I think I'm probably going to say the one time that I've seen Possession, I'll chalk it up as a great time. And that'll probably be it. I don't think I'm going to watch it again. I mean, it's a very heavy movie to watch. No doubt about that. I mean, for Christ's sake. I mean, this...
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's funny when like you look at the movies that have come out since 1981 that you can clearly see borrow from it.
Oh, yeah.
Hellraiser.
Oh,
being number one.
Andrew
very
actually told me.
Lovecraftian.
Andrew said that the creature in this was very Hellraiser, and I was like, you know what? You're absolutely
the idea of the
right.
creature is very Hellraiser.
Clive Barker-esque.
Yeah.
Bringing somebody back to a flat to murder them, to keep somebody alive.
Yeah,
very Hellraiser.
To create
the Hellraiser.
This should be
with
like
E.
a prequel to Hellraiser.
Yeah.
The first time I watched this, I went in blind. I didn't. All I knew was that there was a scene in a subway where she kind of like has this crazy meltdown, and then
we should
her
probably
body
talk about
kind of
that
starts
now.
to fall apart. But when it first shows the apartment, and you see this like slimy, bloody,
Thing.
like pulpy
In the
fucking
wall.
thing, but it's like in her bed, and you're like,
that
what
too,
the
yeah.
fuck is that? And that to me was when I was like, okay, this movie's not at all what the fuck I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so it gets into that whole thing where this is where I kind of think of it as like Lovecrafty, because it has this weird cosmic kind of like thing about it. But you start to get into that, and so the big meltdown that she has in the subway.
Which, I mean, I'm not sure there's been a better feat of acting in the last 30 years than that. Unfucking believable.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Unbelievable.
It's very good.
And it's long. It's like
very
it's
long.
like almost like I think it's almost 5 minutes.
It's
So
it reminds me of a couple of scenes.
let me explain this to you guys. So there was a time where I was watching this movie and I was like, I knew there was some sort of scene coming that was going to be a Mike scene. Okay, and I was watching it and I was like, all right, here we go. I'm sure it's kind of gonna come soon. sooner rather than later. And I was fully expecting, like, one of the times that she got on the train, there'd be some sort of, like, tentacle weird shit. And she got off both times.
Well, she sat right next to that guy and he just ate a banana, like,
right,
out of her
weird,
bag.
so
like,
weird,
that's,
so
like,
weird.
that's okay.
It's
like,
very weird.
what do you mean is that okay? It's just,
not okay.
And I realized, like, in the middle of said scene, I was like, oh, man. I was like, when is this...
But in the same sense, like, if someone did that to me, if I was, like, I put myself in that situation, I'm like, if I was sitting in groceries and, like, this guy just reached over and took a banana and then, like, just ate it and just kept to himself, I'd be like, I'd let him keep the banana. It's
You would have
fucking
killed
banana.
him. Yeah.
No, not for a banana. If he wanted food, if he was hungry, like, whatever, and, like, took a banana, I would never be like, I'm gonna kill you. It's a fucking banana. Have the banana. Like, I mean, it's fine. Is that what you just said? You said I was gonna come?
Yes,
what was I
that's what
talking
he
about?
said.
Every time you
It
go to the
wasn't
train,
that.
you were kind of like expecting, like, you knew that some sort of...
Yeah, something was
Yeah.
going to happen. And then all of a sudden I was, like, in the middle of her freaking the fuck out in, like, the
isolated
subway station.
area,
I was like, when is this going to happen? I was like, you know what? Oh, right now. So, yeah. She's turning into a crazy person and doing all sorts of crazy shit. It was wild. Like, that was a wild
I don't know if
scene.
she's crazy,
the
though.
thing that comes with this scene that's incredible...
Is she a doppelganger?
This movie becomes very religious
I think she's manipulating.
halfway through.
Yeah, which is weird. All of a sudden, it just kind of takes.
Well,
a turn.
because you find out, like, this is what I was trying to kind of make of it last night, because when you have that scene of her in the subway, it's juxtaposed with her in a church, looking up at a statue of Jesus.
Right. I remember
And
that
kind
shot.
of confessing these issues that she's been, she hasn't been faithful, and this and the other thing, and she has bad thoughts and whatever. And right after that, she gets off the subway and kind of has this crazy meltdown, where then it's like she's like, something's inside of her that's trying to get out. And you're looking at that in a metaphorical sense at first, until quite literally
Everything's
she
coming out
falls
of her,
down
yeah.
and something is actually getting out of her. She's dripping blood
That's gross.
and green and white slime from her
Right.
mouth and her ears, and it's like coming out of her from below, and like quite literally having a miscarriage into
Yes.
the ground on the subway
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah, that was gross. That was disgusting.
But you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, like,
and
what
so
is actually going on right now?
as the movie
There's a
plays
lot.
out, there's
Yeah.
this creature that has been living with her that she's been feeding bodies to, but also having sex with.
Which makes her apparently bleed out of
It's
all
so
her
good.
orifices.
Well,
It's
that
so
was
fucking
her.
weird.
But when she
So
says
Clive Barker.
she comes back home, and there's a scene that's very, very dull and slow, but it's the most important scene in the whole fucking.
Which scene?
Because she sits down, she comes home after all of that, and she sits on the couch and she says, "I had a division of faith and of choice, and I miscarried my choice."
Yeah.
Meaning, like, what came out of her was her being able to decide to stay with her family or, like, keep feeding this monster. And now
Wow.
all that's left is faith, and that's God. And
Monster's
she
God,
has nothing
yeah.
but faith for this God. And that's why when she comes, she goes,
Holy
"Do you
shit.
believe in God?"
Wow.
When he's like, "What are you fucking talking about?"
This is way deeper than
It's
I
fucked up.
ever
It's fucked up.
imagine this movie being.
So she ends up, that's why. So Sam Neill, when Heinrich comes, he sees what it is, and she stabs him. After, so she like lures, there's a private investigator that gets sent there from Sam Neill, and she kills him. And she feeds it to the monster. Then that guy's like husband or boyfriend comes looking for him. He's next. And then Heinrich goes there to kind of see what's going on, and he opens the fridge and sees that there's like a head in the fridge or like a body part or something.
Yep.
And he's like, Jesus Christ. So he reaches out to Sam Neill being like, "Listen, like, this is way more than we thought it was." Sam Neill loves her so much.
He'll do whatever.
He's going to do whatever it takes to protect her. So he goes, he kills Heinrich,
Yeah.
and he goes and blows up her apartment. Because he thinks all that's there is just dead bodies.
He doesn't realize that there's.
Then he sees her having sex with this thing, and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Dude.
And what
That
she's
was
creating and having sex with is actually all of the worst parts of Sam Neill being created into a new doppelganger. So, and while that's all happening, you have Bob being taken care of by the teacher who looks exactly like his mom, and who Sam Neill is loving, but also telling Bob that we love Mom, we love her, she's the prettier one, she's the better one, and he's understanding that there's two of everybody. And there's a good and there is a bad. And if there's a good dad, there's a bad dad. So at the end, Sam Neill is saying, okay, we have to destroy all of everything that we can. They end up getting, but in the meantime, while that's all happening, he I laughed out loud. He gets into a cab and he puts a gun up to the guy's head and he goes, I want you to go in reverse and I want you to slam into this cop car as fast as you can. And he goes, my pleasure, and guns in reverse. I thought that was so wild. Fucking funny, dude. So that happens. So now the cops are after them. It's just they run up into this different apartment building, and at the end you see this woman come out who I'm not convinced is not also a doppelganger of Margit, because she's dead as well.
Okay, hold on a second. Margie was trying to bang him the whole time, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. What that was the weirdest part of the whole thing. She was just she was showing up, and then she's in a cab.
But they hated each other.
Yeah.
But there was that weird sexual tension.
All of a sudden they're fucking.
But then he shows up back after he blows up her apartment and her throat's slashed.
Yeah.
And that
was weird.
Yeah. So that was when she explains the whole faith and choice thing. It was after that. And then they have sex and then she fucks the monster. And so that's people listening are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It is that
Go
kind
see
of
this movie. I don't think they're listening
episode's
beyond.
on. We're hoping people have seen this movie if they're listening to this podcast.
Honestly, even if you haven't, if you go and watch it after hearing all of this, it's just maybe it'll make a little more sense. But you end up getting to the end of the movie where you have him he gets shot by police because they're shooting at him because he just rammed a fucking car into them with the taxi driver, and he runs up into an apartment building and is running up all these crazy looping stairs.
God, yeah.
And she's coming up behind him, but you're not sure if it's Anna or I think her name's Helen, the teacher. You don't know who it is, and you find out it is Anna, and she comes up, and they're kind of kissing and making out. But then there's also Mark's doppelganger coming up behind them, too.
Right. That whole
which
thing
you
is
don't know who that is.
So creepy and
so
weird.
Yeah, that...
And
honestly, just by changing his eye color, he walks up. He's just he's
just so gentle. And then he comes up. Cops shoot both of Mark and Anna.
Yeah.
And then they slowly die or are dying. Which Anna she kills herself by taking the gun, putting it behind her back, and shooting herself in the back.
Yeah. Weird way to go.
Mark's doppelganger goes up, and this is where I was like, is that supposed to be a doppelganger of Margit, or is she just some random lady that looks like her?
Mm-hmm.
And has her shoot, and she just does it, which is fucking crazy. That's why I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, right.
So that's why I think she's also a doppelganger. And then you have the very end of the movie where it's Helen, the teacher, and Bob at home, and someone's at the door, and he's like, don't answer the door, don't answer the door, don't answer the door. Throughout the whole movie, there's a lot of scenes where Bob is up.
Don't answer it, don't answer it, don't answer it, don't answer it. And then what does he do? Dude, fucking so weird. Oh, my God.
There's a lot of scenes throughout the movie where Bob's in the bathtub.
Yeah,
and he's, constantly a thing is him, holding his breath for a really long time. And so Bob knows that the person at the door is not his real dad. And while he runs upstairs, he goes and he drowns himself in the tub.
Yes. Jeez. Wait, that was the end? That's what that meant?
Yeah.
What a way to end.
Oh, damn it.
So when he drowns himself, and as that happens, you hear Russian bombs coming down over the planes coming in.
Okay.
Helen's looking around, and you just see her bright green eyes, and behind it, you see Mark's doppelganger, just the creepiest silhouette through what is it? What do you call it? The blurred glass.
Yeah.
And just he's got these it looks like he has these long fingers, and he just has one hand over one head and one hand beside his head, just kind of ghoulishly just caressing and rubbing the glass door, and the movie just ends.
Yeah,
and it is.
You're freaking me out.
Fucking insane, dude.
Freaking me out, man.
Yeah, that was a weird ending. That was one of my comments on my thing. It was what the hell was up at the ending? And like that, you just that was I was so confused watching that. I was like, what is going on?
Well, that's because
like,
Bob knew that if his dad didn't come home, they were dead. Everybody was dead. So he kills himself.
Bob was about to live with both doppelgangers of his parents. So
which would be really weird.
Yeah.
But it's like the only thing that I really couldn't like kind of get my thumb on was like Helen and her being a doppelganger. That was it. Like that confused that's the only thing that confuses the shit out of me. But I guess it's like saying that every person has a good and an evil person.
I mean, that makes sense.
And she was the good one, and the wife was always just the evil one. And then Mark and his doppelganger were just the vice versa.
Absolutely.
This movie was created by Zulawski while going through what I understand is a very, very harsh divorce.
I have
and a lot of that spilled onto the page while he was writing it. If you want to...
That's all I was going to say. No, was that he wrote this when he was in the process of getting divorced. So obviously it's a... pretty disturbing plot in terms of divorce and its depiction of divorce and turning into something else. Yes. Okay. I can edit out silence.
Oh, no. So throughout this whole movie, I had this vibe, like since the beginning I started watching it. Did they speak in terms of like the Raven? Did anyone else get that? They're like the way that they banter back and forth though. They're kind of
sighing
their
off to
dialogue
the side. It's very
so
Shakespearean.
Dramatic. It's like I was listening to them. And I was like,
speak like the.
Am I? Yes. No. But I mean,
no. There's towards the beginning
they have like these vibes
where he's like, "Do you want me to tell you how I feel?"
Yes.
And she's like, "No," and he's like, I didn't want to tell you.
I
anyway.
know.
It's like,
and you're
I really didn't want to do that.
You're like, what are you talking about? And then like it was just like this very dramatic like back and forth banter and like I don't know. It just seemed all very Shakespearean, dramatic dialogue.
That's just how it was. Like it was just everything was so like hyperbolic and like metaphorical and just like
Jesus Christ.
It's very over the top. So like, and I remember the first time watching it just being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is wrong with these people? And then the second time watching it, knowing that situation and being like, what is this fucking monster? And now the third time watching it being just immersed.
What is wrong?
What is actually happening?
Sounds about right.
I absolutely have no right to say that I'm right and anyone else that has a different theory is wrong. That's kind of what I was able to gather, and the copy of the Blu-ray that I have comes with a booklet that has a lot of very interesting information about how it was written and why, and it has a lot of different theories and that kind. So I was able to kind of piece together some of those thoughts to kind of help me while I was watching it. But when she talks about the division of faith and choice, that was really where... And just her, that scene, there's 3 scenes of her specifically outside of her subway meltdown, literally, that I found just took my breath away. And it's when...
Whoa.
Take my breath away.
They're arguing, and... she, like, looks at him and kind of smirks and, like, wipes her nose and just has this, like, just, almost demonic grin on her face, like, knowing, like, nothing matters. Like, and then when they kind of get into the fight and he slaps the shit out of her and she's walking outside with the sunglasses on with a mouthful of blood and she just walks right in front of the car.
Oh, yeah. Like committing suicide, but the car goes away. Yeah.
And then, the last one when she explains the faith and choice thing and then she like gets behind his ear, believe in God, and I was just like, fuck, dude, holy fuck. After like her explaining that and like knowing that like she literally thinks that thing is God, it's just like, wow.
It's weird. Like, it's certainly weird. Certainly is weird.
And those are absolutely all the thoughts I have. This movie is insane. It's one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I don't know. It's like it's weird because I've always liked foreign horror movies. I've always liked European horror movies. I think they're made so incredibly well. There's a different aspect to them that American movies don't have, and it's just like there's just like effort. Like it's more.
It's not commercialized.
So
it's just what's good.
It's so intimate and like just everything around everything matters. like the color of everything is important. Like you have their apartment that's very blue, it's very bummed out, it's very sad, and then you have her apartment that's very yellow, it's very green, very sick. You know what I mean? Like it's very
true.
It's very ill. It's falling apart and decrepit, like jaundiced. And her bed sheets are green.
I love your adjectives.
Well, it's just like
describing
it is
this
jaundiced.
very
It's
well.
like it's
The
like
worst kind of jaundice.
it's like her bed sheets are green, giving this
gross.
like
No one wants to hang out with
sickly
that bitch.
fucking thing to be in. But their apartment is blue, where everything's just like sullen and
lovey
sad.
dovey. Yeah.
And it's like it's and other than that, anytime they're outside, it's gray.
Yeah.
It's always gray.
always gray.
It's always
Yep.
cloudy. So it's just a very
makes perfect sense.
all these aspects and like so many other movies and like to bring up Gaspar Noé again, Climax. When you watch the beginning of the movie, they have these TV or like videotape interviews with all the people that are in the movie at the beginning before they go to their school dance thing. And there's a stack of tapes on the side. One of them is Possession. And later in the movie, when they're all heavily dosed on LSD, the main character is kind of doing this like thrashing kind of thing in a room by herself that was directly inspired by the Subway Melt as well. That was another thing that kind of brought me into this movie as to discover it.
Link, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, Possession, it's a fucking ride. If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch
It certainly is. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, I would say if you are a subscriber to Shudder, you're a fan of horror in the first place. This is one of those movies that you watch and you're like, holy shit. Like, there's no letting up this entire time. I thought it was awesome. But anyway, came out in 1981. Guys, want to hear about some other 1981 horror movies?
Right? 81? Was that
It was 81.
It was,
Yep.
I thought it was. Why does everything have the wrong year?
Why is everybody questioning
No,
me?
I'm just asking.
Well, Andrew, I want to
Why are
hear
you
what,
questioning
before you go
me?
into that. I want to, Andrew, like,
Yeah, go
what
ahead.
do you think about that? Like,
That's really
I
funny.
feel like I just talked about the whole thing.
If
Yeah,
I
mean,
missed it, I'm sorry. If I missed Andrew,
Very.
I'm sorry.
I had never heard of this movie until Matt talked about it, and I was like,
But-
I watched the movie.
But to be fair, I could have confused either one of you for the movie because I feel like this
You
is
did
a very
ask if it was an Andrew movie.
Overcrossing thingness.
It's
Streams.
a very good
between
movie.
either
It's
of you.
They're
And then
two
it turns out it's a
Ghostbusters
Mike
crossing
movie.
streams.
it's a
And
very.
it's also there's
Actually,
only
yeah,
one,
you know what?
there's
Yeah.
one element of Mike in this, and just one singular. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it is very.
Yeah.
Is that when he turned into a worm?
Yes, yes,
Correct.
that's exactly when.
That's why.
The worm element was Mike's. Beyond
Correct.
that, it was totally you two by far.
All right.
This movie's beautiful. It's perfectly done. It's
Beautiful.
one of the monsters and the acting.
The acting
this
is-
is easily the best
The acting's
acting
You
excellent.
I
said
have.
this movie smelled.
I wasn't talking about that though. I was talking about the acting in this movie.
Oh, okay.
He's brought up some very good points. I
The,
can't say I
the-
didn't enjoy it the first time watching. I thought it was kind of boring. It was a little much. There was a lot of screaming in this.
There's a lot of
There's
screaming.
a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
It's just screaming. So if you can get past the just screaming,
and just like there's
The general, like,
there's
just
a really lot of
discontent.
harsh yeah
it's just
the
it's
arguments are hard to watch.
Yeah.
but it's worth watching.
It is.
As I said, yeah.
You start watching it.
Life's
This
real,
is
dude.
Life.
This is
like
a
it's
real-
a very hard.
Yeah.
It's a
And
hard.
that's a
why-
real
that's
thing.
why
This is a
it's
hard. This
to watch.
is a hard watch.
Yeah.
But if you can get through the hard watch, you will be benefited by glorious
Right.
Mayhem.
things that
Beatings.
happen. Dude, the monsters in this. Oh, so good. It's so Hellraiser. I love it. I love everything. I feel like this is a prequel to Hellraiser, but it's not.
That's why I was saying it. It's like you can. I'm truly curious if Clive Barker
Is involved in
specifically
this?
not even that, but like if this is an inspiration for him.
yeah, but he
It,
wrote
it would
that-
be
he
a
must have wrote that
wild
book well before
coincidence
that,
if not,
though.
or he's a liar.
But when did he write that book?
Not before 81.
Do we know that?
I wonder.
At least
Wonder.
84.
Well, the movie came out in what, 86?
87 even, maybe?
So
That's
the
when I was
book probably
born.
came out around 81. Yeah, that's possible, actually.
All right, so
He's
hold on a second.
Fucking thief.
Wait. So technically, this movie was released in 1981. Want to hear some other 1981 movies that came out?
Yes.
Okay. An American Werewolf in London.
Another favorite.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, hey, honestly, there's
That's
a
a
lot
hard-
of
that's a
fucking
hard
bangers
rank,
in
though.
81.
81's a great year. The Beyond. The Black Cat, both directed by Lucio Fulci.
Home Yawners.
Andrew, Butcher Baker Nightmare
I mean, that movie's a fucking slammer. I don't care what anyone says. We gotta watch that movie. Movie fucking.
That movie's
I think we
fucked
have
up.
to do that movie
so good.
because we talk about it
We
too
did.
often.
We did
Like,
Leprechaun.
Nothing like a
This
good
movie's
old,
so
nothing like a good old
We- we-
incest.
I mean, we
movie.
barely did Leprechaun. We barely.
But we did it.
Yeah,
There
we-
wasn't much to
we talked-
really.
I mean, there's
No,
like,
there's
I
a lot
know,
more.
I know.
Butcher Baker has a lot more going on.
we could do
All right,
that. We should
true.
do that. We should do
Let's
that.
just pick
Andrew's
gay
next pick.
movies and not watch them.
We could.
Oh God,
I'm gonna-
ladies, gentlemen, The Evil Dead came out in 1981 as well.
Yeah.
Over
I
there.
I
mean,
mean, what a great movie! It's an absolute classic for a fucking reason. Mad Audette, Friday the 13th, Part 2
Yeah.
came out in 1981.
That's a true favorite of mine.
Full Moon High, that was a Larry Cohen movie, if anyone has seen that. Let's
No.
go. The Funhouse, which was directed by Tobe Hooper.
I also
Let's see
love that
what
movie.
else. That movie rocks.
The Funhouse?
It's a great movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. Halloween 2, which is a movie that stinks.
I don't hate Halloween.
I fucking hate that movie. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm surprised.
I have no comment.
You've never seen it. That's why.
Same.
'cause I wouldn't waste my
played
time.
the fifth.
I don't watch remakes
Yeah,
unless it's John
yeah.
Wick.
I'm on the Andrew.
The Howling also came out in 1981. That movie fucking rocks.
It does
Yeah.
rock, but I
Howling's
like
a
American
great
Werewolf better.
I mean, if
Oh,
you like
well, obviously better, but
if you
that
like
movie's good, too.
pornography and you like werewolves, then The Howling is for you.
If you like phenomenal acting too.
Anywho, The Monster Club. That's a Vincent Price movie, not The Monster.
Yeah, that's the
Oh, yeah.
anthology. Very good.
Correct.
You should check it out.
That is correct.
I've watched that before.
My Bloody Valentine, the first
Banger.
one, came out. Great movie, 1981. The Omen 3, The Final Conflict.
Also a Sam
Spoiler
Neill movie.
alert, it would not be The Final Conflict, but also starring Sam Neill as adult Damien.
Was it
Fucking wild.
good?
Hey, not a bad movie.
No, not bad.
According to Matt.
Hey, honestly, for what it's worth, up until the fourth one's not good because it kind of just like creates a new story.
3 was good.
2 and 3 of The Omen.
I've seen 2. 2's good.
2
I like
rocks.
2. I like
The
2.
kills in 2 are
I'm
fucking
good with
crazy.
2. 3
3
though,
is good.
3 makes it all right. There we
Dude, hey,
go.
don't underestimate 2s and 3s, man.
Dude,
Psycho 2,
Sometimes you
Psycho
get to
3.
2, but
come on.
3's like, let's move it on.
So,
Halloween 3?
1981
Not wrong.
also gave us Piranha 2, The
3D.
Spawning, which was directed by James Cameron. James
Dude,
Cameron.
I want the 3D
James-
boobs.
Greatest pioneer.
I'm glad you knew what I was saying. Yes.
Who's that? It's him,
Greatest
James Cameron.
pioneer. Oh. Fucking loser. Asshole. Oh, God. We also got Scanners
Love Scanner.
and
That's a Cronenberg
Wolfen
fucking banger.
in 1981.
Wolfen?
So that's 1981.
Wolfen
Has there ever
Liechtenstein.
been a Cronenberg movie on this bitch?
No, I said it the other
think
day.
we should probably. I can't wait till
We
Dead
should
Ringers
fly.
comes out like
I mean,
the show
Fly. Oh, my
with
God.
Rachel Weisz. Are you ready for that?
You know what would make a good
Andrew,
double feature?
We know that you want to bang Rachel Weisz.
Don't you?
I mean, I am happily married.
You're not gonna say that, but yes.
It would never
I bang
happen,
nobody
so you can
but
just
my
say
wife.
it.
I was gonna say that.
I don't bang anybody from the
understand your
1999
Also-
Academy Award-winning class.
Who doesn't
The
like-
Mummy.
who
I
Unless
bang
it's
my
Brendan
wife.
Fraser.
So you
Who
don't.
is this Rachel Weisz?
Also,
Unless it's the Oscar-winning actor.
you know what's
Brendan
bigger than
Fraser.
Rachel Weisz is Dead Ringers. That show, the movie was amazing.
Dead Ringers is very good. It's very
Underrated,
fucked
very
up.
under. It's a weird. I can't wait to see what they do.
It's a
with this.
terrifying premise. Anyway,
But they can give it away.
Anything further on Possession, guys?
again, if you go in and watch this movie, you have to just understand it's going to be a hard watch. If you're able to sit through it and you really want to do it, you'll find
That
that
rhymes.
Yep. If you really want to sit through it and you just want to do it, you'll find that it's an incredibly well-made movie. The content is extremely hard to watch and very confusing, but over time, you give it a little time to marinate, give it a rewatch, which is what I did. I've watched this movie 3 times over about almost 2 years.
I thought you were gonna say like 48 hours.
I almost,
like,
you know what? I
Jesus
almost,
Christ.
if I didn't get a haircut today, I probably would have watched it again just to really
Let it
refresh
sink in,
myself
I know.
on it. But I needed a haircut, and I just
Did you get a shave and a haircut?
just a
Shave
haircut. No
and a
shave. I shaved
haircut.
myself, but
Too bad.
But
2 bits.
this is, like I said, this is one of my favorite movies. I was really excited to be able to talk about this movie. I was kind of nervous that I was going to throw it out there and you guys were going to be like, but I was glad that you guys were on board because...
It's just Andrew that does that.
Well, I keep joking about trying to do Cannibal Holocaust, which I really don't think that'll ever happen. But
I'll watch it. I've seen it.
We should just do it.
We should. We can also do a bunch of Gaspar Noé movies. But,
I don't think she wants.
we can do Climax.
she can
Climax
barely
isn't
read,
too
yeah.
bad. I won't make you guys watch Irreversible. But
I've already seen that.
they haven't. No one else.
Yeah,
you
see,
don't want to watch Irreversible.
No, she can't.
Why
Not she
can't
doesn't.
I?
You could, but you'd be
have
like, that was
eyesight, I
fucked
can-
up. Cannibal Holocaust is fucked. But anyway, so I've wanted to do this for a while.
Yeah, it's a fuck movie.
And I'm happy that you guys did, and not only watched it, but you also enjoyed it for what it was, because I was kind of worried you guys, like, what the fuck was that? You fucking idiot. So, I'm glad.
To be fair, I was gonna bust you when I was like, was this an Andrew? Because initially I was gonna be like, Andrew, you would pick this movie. But then at the same sense, I'm like, Matt, you would also pick this movie. So I was like, no ball busting for anyone because it's equally an equal pick for you both in different teams. But
Okay, I'll take it.
not in a bad way.
Hey, listen, I knew I was kind of putting you guys up against a weird one, so
It was a weird one, but I liked it.
it was it was nothing.
Enjoyed it. I feel like it's a bad way to say you enjoyed
I do enjoy this movie because like I've said way on earlier. I think this is a European answer to The Shining.
True.
There's a lot of similarities to The Shining, and I think this is kind of
And it's dark.
There certainly is.
artistically,
Yeah.
it's very similar.
It is actually a lot.
I feel like
good.
if
Good
you were to
comparison.
force people to watch that movie and then The Shining back to back, you would notice abso-fucking-lutely.
Some differences?
Oh my god,
Or
similarities.
Yeah, I was like, oh, definitely.
You would notice differences. Yeah.
Similarities for sure. I also think that this plays as a fantastic double feature with The Brood, and then you just got to go home and give your wife a big hug and smooch and
Yeah,
tell her you love
right?
her.
Like, yeesh.
I mean,
That's
I feel
another
like- I
movie
feel
that's
like
very distressing in terms
Without
of
this,
like
without this movie, you don't get
relationship
In Mouth of Madness or fucking Event Horizon. Like, you don't get Sam Neill like at his chops.
This is
I
definitely,
actually I don't disagree with you because I think, but at the same time, it's like the most underrated fucking underappreciated Sam Neill movie ever. Maybe up until now.
It's easily is. Yeah.
But it was
It's-
just so
no one
under
talks
the
about this
radar.
movie, and it's one of his best performances.
I didn't know this movie existed until like a year and a half ago.
And it's like a
So-
Lovecraftian
Yeah.
So-
fucking horror.
Since we're talking about Sam Neill, he also said that this was his personal favorite role
Really?
of his entire career.
I also saw things
Interesting.
saying it was one of the most distressing
Yep.
roles he's ever had to do.
That's probably
Oh.
why.
So I think
So
there's
that-
parts where he actually has to like slap Isabella.
It seems aggressive role.
Here's what I have. Sam Neill says Possession is his most personal film he's ever been in. Let's see.
Nice.
Quote.
Mike.
Like, have you ever seen Jackass 2?
Yes.
You know when they do the bit when like they have the love note on the wall with the punching glove
Quote.
behind it, and Wee
Karen.
Man gets like real close. That's what you look like reading from that. You know? Like Wee Man's like right up next to it. And
Hey, we have eye insurance.
Close.
We should maybe
Yeah. Oh,
look
yeah.
at again. Go to the NGO.
Nice job. Nice job. All right.
Oh,
what
is he
else?
one of them?
Yeah.
He's like,
That's a head.
I'm not getting an eye.
That's
Oh
a-
yeah.
I
yeah.
can fucking
Yep.
see.
Look at him.
Like you're blind as
But
fuck.
yet, you know what? He
All right.
it's standing over there.
Hey.
Might need some reading glasses. Let's go get him.
I can't wait. Oh my god, I
He's gonna
can't
be like,
wait.
"Excuse me,
I can't wait for this.
Pardon me, sir. How are you? Excuse me. The 1975 fucking rocks. That's what that says.
Churches.
It was just smoked her head off the table.
I wish you did. That would have been great.
It went right through it.
Yeah, you would have broke this amazing table that I bought for us. It's already broken. So, Michael.
What are you looking at me for? Fuck you.
That's all
It's
I
your
got.
turn.
All
Yeah,
right.
we got it.
Go
Yeah,
watch-
we got it. We got it.
Guys,
Go watch
anything else?
more. Hey,
I gotta
honestly-
get out of here.
go watch more foreign
Hair
movies.
rocks too. That's,
Go watch
that's
70s,
Professor
80s,
Hair.
90s, any kind of foreign
Excuse
movie.
me.
Read subtitles. This movie doesn't actually need subtitles, but learn to fucking read Subtitles.
Read, idiot!
Mike knows how to read.
Yeah,
Yes,
you don't, idiot.
yes.
I know how to
don't,
read. I
you
choose
moron.
not to
No,
read. It's a
I don't
choice.
care. If you choose
Us.
not to, you don't. You don't. You don't.
Yeah, I'm not a fucking nerd.
Can you put your? Can you put your? I got it.
Excuse me.
Little
Excuse
loser.
me, Michael.
What is happening?
I'm making fun of you.
We have a division in faith and choice.
All right, guys. Anything else going on before we decide to be a bunch of morons and sign up?
You were close with your prediction. You
Yeah.
said this was going to be a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, we're
That's
close.
correct. That is correct. No. Bye.
That's aggressive.
I think you just end it right there.
Wow.
I mean, that's a fucking solid
That's the
power
ending.
move.
Yep.
Over.
Goodbye.
All right. Hey, movies are cool. Bye. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah! Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.